Begin with I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Town of Thompson Planning and Zoning Commission to order. It is Monday, August 22nd, 2022 at 7:00 p.m. We are here in the Merrill Sinay Community Room and on Zoom. Item 2, we'll begin with a roll call and if needed, seating of alternates. Randy Blackmer.
John B. Linky.
Dave Poplawski.
John Rice.
Brian Santos.
Charlene Langlois.
Ray Williams.
Jane Saulsey.
Mike Kugel.
Alvin Hill. And Joseph Perotti Brown. We will not seat any alternates this evening. Before I move on to item 3, I am going to request an amendment to the agenda. The applicant for application 22-31 is here this evening, but is a little bit under the weather. And with the multiple public hearings that we have, I would request to amend the agenda to move item 22, application 22-31 to item 3.
To item what's that?
Item 3, and move
3.
everything down by 1 digit.
May I also make a request if it's possible?
I would act on one
First.
item,
Okay.
one motion first. So I will move to amend the agenda. Motion made to move, motion made to amend the agenda to move application 22-31 to item 3 and move all other items down 1 digit, made by the chairman, seconded by Vice Chairman Blackmer. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, a yes will amend the agenda, a no will leave the agenda as written. Mr. Hill. Alvin Hill, yes.
Mike Kugel, yes.
Jane Saulsey, yes.
Ray Williams, yes.
Charlene Langlois, yes.
John Rice, yes.
Dave Poplawski, yes.
John B. Linky, yes.
Randy Blackmer, yes. Joseph Perotti Brown, yes. Mr. Linky.
Oh, I would like to make a motion that we take application 22-24, 22-25, and 22-27 as one discussion under the public hearing, if it's possible.
Okay, a motion has been made to take applications, let me make sure I have that right, 24, 25, and 27 together as one. There's one public hearing made by Mr. Lenke, seconded by Mr. Hill. Any discussion on that motion? I would say that having noticed the 3 separate public hearings, noticing them as 3 separate applications, I don't know if it would be proper to do so. Ms.
In addition, I think you'll be jumping back and forth to each application, though, if you have questions.
Well, if you look at it, I read all 3 of them. I looked at all 3 of them. The
So,
only thing that's holding it up is that there is no engineering, something to do with.
Well, yeah, and so I think with one engineer, as one applicant and one engineer, I think the engineer can be judicious in what they present at each point of the application.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
But I don't think it's appropriate to combine them into
Okay.
one public hearing due to the. Okay, so the motion remains on the table. Any further discussion? A yes would consolidate to the 3 applications, 24, 25, and 27 to one public hearing. A no vote would leave as is.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman, I don't think anybody seconded
I
that.
don't think so either.
Alvin did.
Yes, Mr. Hill did.
Okay.
Made by Mr. Lenke, seconded by Mr. Hill. Before I moved, that's why I moved on to the discussion. Mr. Blackmer. I vote to keep them separate. Mr. Lenke,
Yes.
Mr. Poplawski,
No.
John Rice, no.
Charlene Langlois, no.
Ray Williams, no.
Jane Saulsey, no.
Mike Kugel, no.
Alvin Hill, yes. Joseph Perotti Brown, no. The motion is defeated. 8-2. Okay, thank you. Item 3, application 22-31. That was my first motion to amend the agenda.
Okay,
So application
Yep.
application 22-31, applicant and owner Patricia Radzinski, 0 Labby Road, map 95, block 27, lot 17, zone RRAD gravel operation. Renewal permit. Cindy?
I just want to make note that she's asking for a waiver for the fee because it is an inactive operation.
Any,
Do you have any questions?
Mr.
of the
Rice?
applicant? She's here.
if it's an act, I'll make a motion to approve application 2231 for additional year and waive the fee.
I'll second.
motion made by Mr. Rice, seconded by Mr. Poplawski to accept application 22-31 and to waive the fee. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, a yes vote will accept the application, approve the application, and waive the fee. A no vote will not approve the application. Mr. Hill.
Alvin Hill, yes. Mike Koval, no.
Jane Salsi, no.
Ray Williams, yes.
Charlene Langlois, yes.
John Rice, yes.
Dave Paplowski, yes.
John Bianchi, yes.
Randy Blackmer, yes.
Joseph Parody Brown, yes. The application is approved with a fee waiver by a vote of 8-2. Item 4, public hearing.
Did
Uh,
you vote on the application?
Yes, we voted to approve the application with a waiver of the fee.
Sorry.
Yep, no worries. As we begin the public hearing, as you can see, we do have a lengthy agenda this evening, so we will be, keeping to the 3-minute limit to each, to anyone who speaks. I would ask both my fellow commissioners and those from the public to refrain from repeating statements that have already been made, and trying to make sure that we are able to complete these public hearings and the rest of our agenda in an efficient but thorough and thoughtful manner. Application 22-23, applicant Cheryl Popiak, property owner of 1267 Thompson Road, map 116, block 24, lot 16A, zone LD. Request to add 1 additional apartment for a total of 4 apartments. According to Town of Thompson zoning regulations, Article 4G, Lake District, Section 2-8. So, Cindy is passing along the color photos, since the
You
quality
gotta look at all of them.
I think I saw.
for the applicant.
Yeah, let's just put it.
You want to come to the? Just state your name and address for the record, and
Cheryl Popiak, 2 Leon Street, Thompson, Connecticut.
if there's anything, is there anything additional you'd like to add to the application at this time?
Nothing additional, nothing.
Okay, thank you. And then certainly, then does anyone have any questions for the applicant? I would say members of the commission, if you have any questions for the applicant.
I have one question on, what are you splitting along the first one all the way to the right in half to get the 4th apartment?
No, the 4th apartment has been existing since 1996 in the rear of the
Mhm. The
property.
one underneath?
Yes,
Okay.
back, yeah.
If you want me in my little input in here, if you remember a few months ago, there was complaints about the 4 apartment, and the previous owner understood that
You can sit if you like, you don't have to stand the whole time, and if we
Okay.
need you, we can.
the previous owner was under the impression that they could do 4 apartments. That's the way it was sold to them. Through much history of folders about this thick, we traced it back to original, and they only got permits for 3 apartments. And it was determined that it was 3 apartments, and we told the owner that they could not have the 4th apartment. And in the meantime, the owner put it up for sale, the communication with the real estate agent. And initially, I made the mistake that thinking that was still R40. And halfway through talking with her, and explaining everything to her, I realized that we had changed that district. It's now the Lake District, that particular lot. So I told the real estate agent, please make sure the new owner understands that she can only have 3 apartments there. That is all the building permitted. New owner came in, would like to do the 4th apartment, updated the septic system with the approval with Northeast Farm House, so that it can have, it can hold 4 bedrooms, and there's a bedroom in each apartment. And so that's taken care of, because that was one of the other deficiency about the 4 apartments, was the septic system. And right now, her acreage is 0.42, and to have 4 units in the Lake District, you need 4,500 square feet for each unit, and she has, and that comes to 0.41. So she has the 4,500 square feet, excuse me, she has enough square feet for 4 units. 1-bedroom units.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Poplawski.
Cindy, so I know this goes back a long way. So the fire marshal's been out there and has
I
said that
neglected to
the,
put that in my, I don't know if I put it in the notes, I can't remember.
I didn't see it, but
Yeah,
I'm just trying to recollect everything that went on.
yes, and if you need to see the record of the fire marshal, I certainly have it. I can place it in this record, but yes, he has approved everything.
So has the building inspector, my concern is, we had 3 apartments, they were permitted. We have a 4th apartment that got added at some point in time, speculative when it got added.
Right.
Has anything else been, has the building inspector been out there? Is the electricity, the electrical service, all of that been checked and?
She has a building permit to do what she's doing now, yes. Because she took one unit down completely and brought it from scratch, and the same thing with the storage unit. That is a storage unit, and she increased it by 25%. And there is a bathroom in it. No, there's a sink. Is it, there's a sink in there, or?
Yes, if you could, please, just so you can,
Yes,
the microphone
so
can
the
pick you up.
building on the left, if you can scroll to the left, it's called the storage building for the previous owner. But in fact, in the field price was a 1-bedroom cottage. And
So you're
because it
talking
had
about the garage now?
the garage, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, it was a 1-bedroom cottage, and I decided if I'm gonna store and work on the property, it'd be nice to have a half bath. So I put a utility sink, a toilet, and there is a big dog heater above the van door on the opposite side.
I have to correct Cheryl here for 1 minute. That storage unit, somewhere along the history of it, it was abandoned as an apartment, and it is written down that it's only to be used as a storage unit. And so I don't think it, in my recent research, which was very involved, that completely was eliminated as a unit, living unit. So, and that's what it was replaced as, a storage.
Mhm.
So my question is directly related to apartment number 4 on the back.
Yes,
So that was permitted, it's been, electrical has been inspected. We know that that's a good, from the building office, that's a good unit.
Yes, and fire
That has a
marshal,
building
yes.
I know the fire
Yeah,
marshal, so
yeah.
the building,
yeah, electrical, and yep.
Well, he hasn't written off the CO yet, but she's still in the process of construction. So as soon as she finishes the final inspection, he'll give issue the CO, and then I sign the zoning permit that is completed, which goes along with the CO.
and again, that's for the 4th apartment, but it was already built.
It had been, but she
Okay.
stripped it down completely and then started.
Okay.
from-
Original
Yes, it
existing
was
building.
there. And
Yes.
somehow 4 apartments got there through that whole mix of what we went through quite a while ago.
Okay.
Did I answer your questions okay? Or-
Yeah, just,
Okay.
I didn't see any of that in there, if it was always an illegal 4th apartment, so I,
Right.
in my mind, it's an illegal fourth apartment, there's a building permit for a garage and for a septic system, but, you know, was there a building permit for the fourth apartment now? And
And there
it
is
seems
now.
like there is.
Yes.
Yep.
Any other questions for? Yes, yes, of course. Yeah. Yeah, we'll get there as well, sir.
How about the septic system? I don't see final approval.
It's in the record here, so.
Yeah, I didn't see that either. I saw where someone pulled it, but I didn't see that.
Yeah, where they have the recommendations.
It's on the back side of it where the stick diagram was.
Well, we pulled, did Charlie?
Oh, yes.
You have upstairs on
Copy
that?
of the email, sure.
This right here, Northeast District of Health.
Right. Yeah. it wasn't. Yeah, I thought I read it.
Yeah,
Right
it says
here,
approval.
Yep. Construct, and let's see
Oh,
what
you're
it says
talking
in
about
the
final
back.
inspection,
Yeah,
the final inspection.
Again, that's going to be when it's all finished. But it's for 15, it's what, 1,500 gallons?
1,500, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so this is right,
It's
dated
not-
March 29th, 2022.
right, I didn't, yeah,
from-
but I
from
didn't see.
The
And
approval,
and
no.
as built, it's not done yet? Is that what
The
you're
septic is
saying?
in, and from my understanding from the installer,
Yeah.
it has passed its inspection. And I'm not sure if there is another, sign off previous to the occupancy permit or whatever, but for all I understood, it was approved.
You should have got excuse me, but you should have got, did you get a letter or like a letter?
We
or
have
anything?
an approval from the NVDH in our,
That's all that
Providing-
matters. is that you got that.
Providing,
It's approved to construct, so what you do with your
That's the final
your
write-off.
vote
if
is
it's
the
been approved.
conditions, you don't sign off on the CO until you have the approval letter from Northeast District Department of Health and the board.
What I meant by that, Mr. Chair. is
Mr.
that
Langford.
The NDD page will send her, or she'll get a paper in the mail, like I did when I had mine redone. Is that it met all the requirements, even though the contractor did all the legwork to get the permits, get everything. But you still will get a piece of paper from that, will be your official, saying that the system meets the standards for the 4 rooms, the
Yeah,
4
yes, of
individual
course, yeah.
rooms. That's what I was getting at.
thank you, Mr.
And
Fine.
all due respect to the hard work that NDDH does, they don't work as fast as we do here.
You're lucky if you're gonna see it in 30 days.
Are there any other questions for the applicant at this time? Yeah, Mr. Krogel.
Just a clarification. It's for 4 bedrooms.
Yes,
Your garage is up top and it has facilities. You put up your new apartment
correct,
and in the old building, which I'll call the old building, you have 2 apartments upstairs and 1 down.
correct.
Okay.
Each single 1-bedroom units.
I have one more question.
Mr. Williams?
Years ago in the early 80s, I think, wasn't there 5 places there?
Well, there were a total of 6 bedrooms from what I can gather.
Okay, I know there was 5 because I
The
knew
one
somebody.
On the right had 2 bedrooms. The cottage for the field card had 1 bedroom,
Right.
full kitchen, full bathroom. And then, of course, there's the single unit A, B in the original structure, and then the unit down back. And, I was replacing ceiling tiles and they clearly have 1996. The cabinets were clearly 90s. So we tried to see if there was any permitting done back 25 years ago from the Navillos, who were the owners at the time. And each time we tried to look, the file was in somebody else's hands. And, so,
I know I know a lot of people that lived there years ago.
oh, yeah.
I know there was 5 different,
Always been.
there was 5 different
Yeah.
apartments.
Right. So now we're looking for the 4.
Any other questions for the applicant right now? So we invite comment from the, just come up with your name and address. And again, we are going to,
My name's John Geezer. I live at 1261 Thompson Road.
I'm sorry. I just want to remind you about there'll be a 3-minute limit.
Okay, yeah, and anyways, I abut her property. And anyways, I just wanted to give you these. I've been here before with you guys last year. This is a petition from all the people in the neighborhood who are against this apartment. we should have a voice in it also, but just because it's okay with her, it doesn't mean it's okay with us. We had a lot of problems over there with a motorcycle guy ripping up our neighborhood, making bonfires. That is not a good place for that apartment. It's located in the rear. Nobody knows what goes on there. Police can't even find it. So anyway.
I need one for my record.
Anyways, I'll try and do this as quick as I could. As you can see from these pictures, this is a 2-bedroom cellar apartment that is located in the back of the building. From the road, no one can see what goes on in this back apartment. In all the years that we have lived there with this illegal apartment, that we never realized it shouldn't have been there in the first place. It has never attracted good tenants, especially the previous 2 years prior to Cheryl buying it. We had a tenant in there who had the past 2 years terrorized our neighborhood with motorcycles racing up and down the neighborhood, popping wheelies, intimidating my neighbors by stopping and threatening them if they took pictures of him. We called police numerous times, nothing happened. They said they're not proactive. The fire marshal had to be called numerous times to put out bonfires in the backyard. He wasn't the only tenant that caused trouble. There were other tenants throughout the years that had huge bonfires and caused lots of noise. This apartment and the people that lived there in the past caused a lot of stress and anxiety for our neighbors in our neighborhood. And that is why they signed this petition. We don't need a boarding house in our neighborhood where people come and go and don't really care about our neighbors and neighborhoods. And my neighbors and myself pay a lot in property taxes, and we are voicing our opinion. Cheryl bought a 3-family, and it should stay that way. We don't need another 1-bedroom apartment, or they're turning it into a boarding house in our neighborhood where people come and go and don't actually care about our neighborhood. Other than that, other than the 3-family, our neighborhood is a residential neighborhood, and we don't need another apartment in our neighborhood. The only one who gained from this is Cheryl. She's a registered LLC. She buys and sells apartment houses. Adding one more apartment will increase her rent and make it more attractive to the next buyer. When she decides to sell, if we get one bad tenant in this apartment, my neighbors in my neighborhood will be losers. Since we do not have a police department in town and the state police are not proactive, we have no way to turn. This apartment is not good fit for our neighborhood and not for the town of Thompson. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Giza.
I own the property across the street. I've been there since 1986.
Just your name and address.
1300 Thompson Road.
And your name, please.
David Miller.
Thank you.
Just like John said, I mean, these apartments have been nothing but trouble the whole time I've been there. And talk about the lot size. I don't know. It's not really a usable lot size, if you ask me. It's a big drop off in the back. I don't know where she plan on parking all these cars, you know. But anyways, the traffic on this road is pretty heavy. It's probably going to be some safety concerns with all these people pulling out into the road there. And I don't know, 3 apartments is enough, in my opinion. There, I don't think you really need another one. I'm really not for it.
Okay, I got it.
Past, like John says, we have to call the state police. My wife's out in the middle of the road stopping the kid from doing wheelies on his motorcycle. I mean, enough is enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
My name is Sheila Burns. I live diagonally across the street next to Mr. Miller's property. And I'm
sorry, and just your
concerned,
address for the record, please.
excuse me,
Just your address for the record,
Oh.
please.
1258 Thompson Road.
Thank you.
My concern is Thompson Road itself. We have heavy traffic on that road. I'm just afraid of accidents. We've had several accidents up and down the road as it is. And nobody respects the 35-mile or 40-mile limit on the road. They go by at 60 by my house. I'm right at the top of a hill. And I just consider it dangerous to have too many vehicles coming in and out. That's one of my main concerns. Plus we have, I don't know what the tenants are gonna be. I have a question about coming and going as the other people do. And I also worry about not being able to get a hold of the police. We have no access to police coming if we need them. So I just want to add my concern to more than 3 apartments. As it is, 3 apartments could be as many as 6 vehicles. And that's a lot of vehicles. If she puts a 4th one in, it could be 4, 5. It just seems a little too much for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Burns. Ms. Oates.
I just have a couple of questions so that I get it clarified. Cindy, and I apologize for this, but can you repeat to me why there were only 3 apartments allowed before?
That's all that the building permit stated through the research from the 70s.
Okay,
And to be honest, for me to back up all of that for this application was an extraordinary amount of work.
of work, yes, absolutely.
Consider, if we only had 2 applications, I certainly could have done it, but the folder's there. If you want me to bring it here, you can look through it, but the bottom line was, there was the assessor and I went through this we went through it for hours. Mr. Giese went through it with us. It just shows only legally 3 apartments were given a building permit.
Okay. And I have a question for you. You are just renting them out. You do not live in any of them, correct?
Oh, no, I'm moving into the one on the right.
Okay,
That single family, the new house. My son-in-law has been in the back basement apartment since I spent $7,000 to evict the tenant that was so egregious to the neighborhood and lost 3 or 4 months revenue during the process, was threatened by her boyfriend, her son. I really took it on the chin removing that basement tenant because I did see some town minutes speaking to. I'm a certified landlord in Massachusetts. I do own several properties, as John alluded to. Monthly meetings, Zoom classes. We have a law office in Massachusetts. We do all of our tenant backgrounds with a leasing agency. I take landlording very seriously. I've been doing it for years before my father passed away, and I and my family will be living on that property. A and B units, 2 of the original tenants. I'm sure John will attest to, since I became owner, there has been no problems, no issues of any kind, except for maybe noise from construction.
okay, so you will be living on the premises?
Yes, I will.
Okay, and you said your son-in-law is in the other one?
He's in the back basement unit, has been since the day the other tenant was out, with security cameras, because we were so threatened by the previous tenant's boyfriend.
Mhm.
6'7", would come up to me, show me his Hell's Angels jacket while I'm there, doing repairs and cleaning and what have you. And yes, it was a considerable cost to me to remove that tenant.
Okay, so you will be living in one, your
Yes.
son-in-law is in the back basement
Correct.
one, so it's just the 2 others that would be rented out. And
Right.
are they right now rented out?
Yes, the long-term inherited tenants, one is 7 years, I believe, and the other is 11.
Okay,
So this turnover that we're imagining could happen certainly won't happen in the unit that I'm in or that my
Okay.
son-in-law is in.
okay,
And the 2 fellows that are in A and B, I have asked, have no plans to leave.
okay. Have you ever had problems with those 2?
No, I have not.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I just say one more thing?
Mr. Giese again, yeah, please.
Yeah, just like what she said. I'm not worried about her so much, but when she sells it. She sells it to an investor, we're back to square one. She got terrorized by that tenant for a few short months. We were terrorized by that tenant for years. I mean, it was pretty bad on that street with that kid. And like I said, I'm just looking out for the neighborhood. That's why I've been here for years already. You kind of getting to know my face. You're probably sick of it. But I just want to ask you one question. How did that piece of property get into the Lake District if it's not on the lake?
It is on the lake.
She's got a footpath. There's no water frontage.
That, you have to go back to.
I'm just, it's because if it's not in a Lake District, she can't have that 4th apartment.
Go back to when they were all trailers.
So, okay, so yeah, so it is zoned in the Lake District.
Huh?
It
It was
is,
rezoned into the Lake District when we rezoned the regulations in 2020, September 2020.
I know, but I'm just curious how she got into the Lake District, not being on the lake. That's, she's 2 lots away.
thank you, yeah. we can-
There's any, no answer?
You're in the Lake District too, probably.
Yeah, I'm on the lake.
All right.
I have
It's
waterfront.
just,
Oh, yeah.
well, it runs consistent.
There is a piece of that property that touches the water. Is there one path, one
She has a footpath,
spot?
but
But
it goes to the road.
I remember that from,
Yeah.
my brother used to rent the place that they tore down with the
Well,
garage.
I'm just curious. I just want to know. I'm just, how did it get pushed into the Lake District if it's not on the lake?
Yeah, well, it's adjacent and
Right.
contiguous
Yeah,
to,
petitions, yes.
to the,
No
to
answer.
the lake and to the
Okay.
other district. properties.
Doesn't it have something to do with footage away from the watershed?
No.
Within 200 feet?
Sir, when it comes to that.
Hi, Tom Miller, 9 Bacola Road. I'm hearing great things. So the thing that concerns me is the wetlands getting very close, encroaching. Cindy, there is a number that 4 apartments need to maintain. Acreage wise, you've assured us that it meets the acreage. The lot is big enough. You said there was a
Or
number.
under the new regulations.
Okay, and we've had, if not an as-built that we can look at, we have an assurance that NDDH has been out. Everything fits. There was no special dispensation. Nobody needed to bend anything.
No.
It
here's the
fits.
Wetlands approval right here.
Okay, and that's a public record. I could pull that.
Right.
Then I have less of a concern, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Brenda Romanek, 131 Passay Road. I just wanted to say that I have known Mrs. Burns for over 50 years. And in all the time I've known her, she has never complained about one thing, not one thing. But I can tell you, so if she's here, it's a big concern. All right, that's number one. Number two, I go to their house once a year to drop off nut bread for Dan that he probably never eats, for helping me on my property. And I am scared to death pulling out of their driveway. And I'm not afraid of much, but it is a really bad, road, that small section where that, where that house sits, like even where their driveway is, it's pretty scary. And I think you are looking at increasing traffic, increasing the potential accidents. And also, you talk about the Lake District. Did you say that they have a footpath?
No,
And
I
as
did
long
not
as their
say anything.
footpath
No.
touches the water, it's considered the
No, I
Lake
didn't say
District?
that. You already said it.
You guys should go out and see this before you approve this. You should go out and see this. It is nowhere near the lake. So I don't know how much sense this all makes. And I didn't know about this before I came tonight. when I heard her speak, I said, wow, Mrs. Burns, for her to say something, it must be a really big concern. And that's all I wanted to point out.
Thank you, Ms. Romanek.
I don't know if the district makes a difference, that's the way it was zoned when we did it in 2020. You can't spot zone.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I just say one more thing? Sorry.
Mr. Gates.
On the Lake District, from talking to the assessor's office, you told me 4,000 square feet she has, and all she needs is 4,500 square feet for an apartment. She could possibly put 6 apartments in there if you want.
Cannot put any more than 4.
Well,
Because it comes out to point 40,
well, if you,
41, and she has
if
point 42.
if you do the math, she's
Well,
got
the
4.
assessor did the math with us.
Just a minute, Cindy.
Okay, but if she goes back to the original zoning, which was RR1, I think, I'm not that familiar, 40, she can't put that 4th apartment in there. So that's why my concern was, how did she get into the Lake District if she's not on the lake? So that's an answer I'm trying to find.
Yeah, and we can, speak to the zoning map. Tara, do you?
I can tell you that the way that Lake District was configured when we were doing the update, was I referred the question to the wetlands agent and the conservation agent at the time to draw an appropriate footprint around the two lakes of concern that would essentially meet some of the problems that we were trying to solve. The fact that there were historically small lots, the fact that people look at the lake district as being desirable for vacation and second homes, while also maintaining concern about the sensitivity of the waterfront areas. And the footprint that they derived for us is what we use.
Thank you, Tara, for that context. Any other comments from the public at this time?
I just one question. Tara, when you talk about the footprint that you used, did you actually get to view house lots, or were you just looking at the lake and then the distance from the road and then saying, calling that lake? Because they're nowhere near the lake.
Yeah, and I'm just, before you answer, Tara, just for anyone listening at home, Ms. Romanek asked, what the process was for looking at the properties in the footprint that was given to us from the wetlands office.
It would be a better question for Marla as to their specific methodology, but it essentially was a radius around the lakes. So not necessarily contiguous touching the lake, but a certain distance from.
Well, this is just my opinion, but with all the concerns about water, that might have been a mistake. Because I can picture it in my mind, the lake is there, Route 193, and if you don't see the actual lots, it looks like person on the waterfront get goes back to 193. They don't. There are a lot of little properties in there. I can't see putting another one in.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Romanek. Sir.
Bobby Bielo, 1281 Thompson Road. The only thing I'm concerned about right now is the septic system. I have a pool that is open to the town that has to be kept open. Will their septic system spoil that pool? That's the only thing I'm concerned about.
Thank you, sir. And Cindy, that's the purpose of the NDDH approval, correct?
Of them coming to approve that, enlarging the septic system to hold the 4 bedrooms so that it doesn't overflow.
Yeah.
And
Well, I don't know if anybody knows about that pool that I have on my property.
so what's the house number?
1281 Thompson.
Oh, okay. So you're close.
It's right in between Tom's house and my house. And we've always kept it open for the townspeople to go in and get water. I haven't seen it in a few years, and I don't think Tom has seen it in a few years. But we'd like to keep it as clean as possible.
Yeah, certainly. And so between the NDDH, the NDDH looks at the location, right, Cindy, of the positioning on the property as well, and the wetlands has also approved the property as well. So, and they would be aware of that pool, the wetlands agent.
Right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Just one more thing on that lake district, will that get resolved or just?
So I appreciate the concerns. We have an application before us for a property that is zoned in the Lake District. And we have to act on that application as it is currently zoned. Certainly in future, future discussions about the zoning map of the town of Thompson, that is certainly something that can be discussed, and the opinions of those here tonight and others included in that discussion. But we as a commission have to view the application we have in front of us as it is currently zoned.
Just one more question. So all the petition I have in front of you doesn't carry any weight. This is our neighborhood.
No, and I understand that. And we certainly, just as if, they were here sharing in the public hearing.
Yeah, we don't want to go back to that.
Certainly.
That's the only reason why I found out about this was because we were so terrorized. I found out, I went and looked to see if that was a legal apartment. It wasn't. It was illegal for 20 years. I didn't know that. Otherwise I would have. So we don't want to go back to that. She's probably going to be good. The person that comes after.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Houston.
Mr. Chairman, you have a Zoom commenter with a hand up.
Thank you, yeah. Ms. Clark?
Hi, Valerie Clark, 105 Elm Road. I just have a question on the NDDH approval. It said something about not having a bedroom in the garage. What do they mean by in the garage? Are they referring to the entire building?
So the garage is so the question, if you couldn't hear it here in the audience, was about the NDDH approval mentioned no bedroom in the garage. And so the garage is the building which is currently the storage unit.
That was previously a storage.
It was previously a storage unit and is now currently a storage unit. We looked at it earlier with the wood door. Yeah, so this is what they refer to as the garage.
No, I'm not sharing it to the screen yet.
Sorry.
That one.
This is what they are referring to as the garage.
Okay, and so that's not what we're discussing tonight. That's not what this application is about.
That's correct. The fourth apartment is not that area.
It's not, I'm sorry, what? I didn't hear.
Yeah, that is not where the fourth apartment is.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clark.
Just a point of clarification. So we have 4 bedrooms, I'm assuming 4 apartments, 4 bedrooms, but this, I'm going to call it a 3/4 bath in the storage unit has also been added to the footprint reviewed by NDDH and has been so that there's another water consumption and water disposal use there. And that's all been plowed into this one application.
Yes, yeah. Mhm.
Thank you for that.
Mr. Krogel?
I do have a question, Mrs. Pombiak. Do you have a deeded right of way to the property at all?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. It wasn't discovered.
When I made the offer to purchase the property, and apparently the previous owner didn't know that the right of way is on Mr. Geezer's property. It's about, I don't know, John probably knows better than I, 100 and some odd feet from the corner of mine and his in the back, and it's a footpath that goes to the water. It's a deeded right of way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bill Warner, Lowell Davis Road. I just want to bring it up to the commission that this is one of the problems when you rezone parts of the town without letting citizen input. There was no public hearing at all. There was no citizen input at all before we came up with the Lake District. So that when that happened, people in this neighborhood could have came and spoke to you about their concerns about changing that area from R40 to the Lake District. But you never allowed that to happen, and that's why you have this issue now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Warner. Ms. Langlois?
I keep hearing people say that they were never given an opportunity to come, but we sat here for 2 years, emails, posted it before COVID. We sat, was it 3 years? We sat here. I remember one family coming from a pond district area that came and sat with us and had some concerns. So I don't know, obviously people, we have 9,000 people in Thompson. There's not 9,000 people here that come to any of these meetings. We really have a good turnout when there's something bad that happens and no one comes to the meetings to put their concern in before we spend 3 years updating regulations. So the good thing about it is that we have a year to have some unsettledness until we can fix what we've done without people coming and putting in their input. Unfortunately, you have a year that you have to wait until we can fix it. So without me sitting here, when I was sitting there, I couldn't get mad out there if I never came to a meeting when they were making changes sitting at this table. So I think it's very important that as we sit here and we're making changes to the town to have it move forward, that the town sign out there, watch where they post it. They have to post it to have meetings. And if you're feeling like you're not getting information, then help us help you get the information that you need. But I know it was put out there and I know people did come and voice the concerns. Some people did send emails. And so this is where we sit when now something else is coming up where somebody's trying to come in and do something and things have changed and now people want to put input. So I think it goes both ways and it just helps if you're there when it happens.
With all
Mr.
due
Warner.
respect to Mrs. Langqua, it was never posted about the zoning changes. There was no legal notice.
I think
There
that,
was postings on the regulations, but it did not say the zoning was changing. There was no legal notice at all. There was no citizen notification at all that we were going to have a lake district. It was nobody.
so when people were, can I speak or does it?
You can, but it was never notified. Not one person in town was notified unless they came.
Brenda Romanek, Passay Road. I would just like to address your comment.
Just all comments to the chair, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. With regard to her comment, okay, you know what we've been through in the last 9 months. The bottom line is there are enough people that express displeasure with the process and what happened. We do know that people were not notified. It was not visible enough. Not enough for the people that are affected to be told. And that is what I've been saying since September 27th, is that the people that are affected by the changes that you make should be consulted, like we went through with PA 490. Those are the people that can speak best to what is happening in their neighborhood, in their area. They're the ones that care about it, and this is their town. So it should matter. That petition should matter. And I know you guys have the new regulations, and Charlene just said, oh, we're going to fix it. Every year, we're going to revisit the regs. I would want to know, why would we change them and then spend months and months and months, which we all know it takes months and months and months to change one thing. I'm a living example of that. So knowing that changes take that long in this process, decisions shouldn't be made without paying attention to things like that petition or, once again, the rezoning. And that's just my take on it. Yes, we have to correct a lot. And it is going to be hell. So I would hope moving forward that we find a vehicle to notify the townspeople that live here, that care about what's happening, because not all of them have the internet. Not all of them have cell phones, believe it or not. So I think we have to find a better way. I know in the old days, what did they do? They had billboards up or something in town. So I don't know. We just have to we spend money on a lot of different things. How much does it cost to do a mailing to the people that are affected? That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Romanek. Ms. Burns.
Again, 1258 Thompson Road. I've lived in this town all my life on the property we own. And we've always felt like we were not in town because we go to Webster to shop and we go to Putnam. We don't come down here very often. And that billboard out here means nothing to me because I don't come in this area except to pay my bills. That's about it. My taxes and things like that. So the town is too spread out. If you're going to affect an area, you should let everybody in that area know. And like she said, I don't have a cell phone. I don't play on the internet. And the only way I get zoning information is in the Thompson Times. So there you are. I feel like I'm left out. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Halsey.
For
It's just, I'm sorry, Ms. Halsey has the floor and then Mr. Giza and
the sake of everything that's happening here tonight, we know there is a problem. I know there's a problem because I've been saying the same thing. But I really want to get back to look at the property that has been brought forward to have the vote done. And I mean, the other stuff absolutely needs to be taken care of. I understand the frustration of everybody in this room because it is a poor system of notification. So, but that's a different thing. I would like to get back on this and ask Cheryl, the two tenants that you have now that are long-term, you stated that they do not have a plan on leaving, correct?
Correct.
All right. And this is just a thought off of my head because I also have family members that are landlords in Massachusetts and take care of things. What is the process that you go through when you take on a new renter?
In your renter that is inherited with the property?
No, just say that two of your renters decide to leave.
Oh, yes.
I want to
So-
know what you go through in order to screen these people, because I know what my family has gone through to screen possible renters.
Right. So as I mentioned earlier, we have a law office in Massachusetts, so we take care of all of the leasing and
Okay,
the paperwork. We have a leasing agent that I've used for 6 years, whom I reach out to. I never want to be accused of discrimination or not treating everyone equally. Again, I mentioned I'm a certified landlord, which involves
yeah. I do,
200
yeah,
hours
Yeah,
of
I know, I understand
classroom.
that. I've certified landlords in my family.
Yes, and so I contact my leasing agent and I tell her, this apartment is available. This is the neighborhood. I don't even choose the rent. I let her decide on rent. We don't discriminate with children or colors, or if you meet my minimum criteria of credit score, a job for a year, and have, good standing, and you don't come up on some pedophile list or something like that, then she actually makes the decision for me. And
Okay, now you said that you will be living there.
yes,
Because of the concerns that these people have, are you just gonna live there for a while and then sell the property?
right. Of course, I could tell you, I plan to live there forever. I've bought several properties in Thompson. I moved into Connecticut in 1977, purchased my first home in 86, 3 more during the pandemic. These are all for family, daughters, sisters, son-in-law. When these 2 tenants turn over at their will, because they've been terrific. In fact, one of the gentlemen was living in the condemned trailer on the right, full of mold. It was
Mhm.
disgusting. The home inspector said it needs to come down, not renovate.
Okay.
And I moved him into Unit A because for all intents and purposes, everything I heard about this gentleman, great job, been
Yeah.
there for years and years. I wanted him to stay, so I moved him into A.
Okay, all right.
Family is my goal, not anybody on the street. And when my daughter graduates this coming year from Anna Maria, she's going to be a teacher. She's teaching in Dudley, and she would like one of those units if in fact one of.
Okay, comes
Right.
up. Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Crowell.
Okay, it's all well and good that you plan on living there, your tenants aren't staying on there. We know nothing is permanent in that respect. We've all had neighbors from hell somewhere in our lives. There's no controlling that either. I do not know if we could push this off for a month, but if not, I would like to make a motion to close the discussion and have a vote.
I will second that emotion, that emotion, that
The
motion.
motion has been made to close public hearing on application 22-23, made by Mr. Crowell, seconded by Mrs. Salsi. Any further discussion on the motion to close the public hearing? Hearing none, a yes vote will close public hearing, a no vote will continue with the hearing over. Mr. Hill.
Alvin Hill, yes.
Mike Kroger, yes.
Jane Salsi, yes.
Ray Williams, yes.
Charlie Langley's yes.
John Rice, yes.
Dave Plafowski, yes.
John B. Linky, yes.
Joseph Brody Brown, yes. Mr. Blackmer has absented himself momentarily, so he is not voting on this vote. Thank you. Item 3B, application 22-24, applicant LaValley Construction LLC, 0 Donovan Drive, map 3, block 80, lot 2D, zone RRAD, requesting re-subdivision from 1 lot to 2 lots, 2 acres, according to Town of Thompson subdivision regulations, Article 3, Section 4A-1. For the applicant, when you are ready.
No, just. Mr. Giza has a question.
So the way the agenda works is we have the public hearings, and then the next agenda item is to discuss the public hearings. So after we listen to all the public hearings, we'll discuss and potentially make a decision.
Next time.
No, this evening.
This evening.
Little
You
while.
can stay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
About 2 hours.
Yeah.
For the applicant.
James Salsy, Mike.
Good evening, I'm Janet Blanchett.
If we could just, it's hard to hear, and for the microphones as well, please.
Good evening, I'm Janet Blanchett with J&D Civil Engineers, representing the applicant, LaValley Construction. This applicant has 3 applications before you with a public hearing tonight. And so in the interest of saving time, I'm going to start with what I call the common items that would be in common for all 3 applications. And if anybody needs me to repeat them as we go on through the evening or refresh their memory, I'll be happy to do that, but that might save a little bit of time. So what I prepared was this, this graphic that just shows the whole original subdivision with the 3 applications colored in a different color. So this is application 22-24. This will be public hearing 22-25, and this one 22-27. So what these applications all have in common, this was a 31 lot subdivision approved in 2007. The approval was renewed in 2018 and it expired in 2021. Donovan Drive, which is the loop road off of Route 197, is a town accepted road. It is paved through the binder course. There are people living on it, and there is a bond. The town is holding a bond so that the contractor is required to finish the road. This, all the land in this subdivision is currently zoned RRAD. It was formerly R40. However, with those 2 zones, the lot size and the frontage remained the same. So basically, from the zoning perspective, it's pretty similar to what was approved. Really, the difference is the setbacks. That's the only thing that changes. So 150 feet of frontage, 40,000 square feet. On these 3 applications, the open space was already provided. There were significant areas, particularly this I think it's like 25 acre open space area along the Quinnebog River. So open space has already been taken care of in this, within the bounds of this property. No new open space would be required. All of the lots associated with these applications tonight, 22-24, 22-25, 22-27. All of these lots have approval by the Northeast District Department of Health for their septic system design. And as well, they have updated wetlands approvals. In the last couple of months, they've been going through the Wetlands Commission to make sure that everything was up to date. What in the bottom line, what at the end is being requested is, this is just the reapproval, the orange of the cul-de-sac because it expired. Is this lot is proposed to go from 1 to 2, What's in yellow is proposed to go from 3 to 4. So when it's kind of all said and done, we're talking about going from 31 lots to 33 lots. It's only 2 extra lots, even though it's 3 applications. So back in 2007, this extensive stormwater report was prepared because it addressed the whole entire project and the drainage going out into the state road. It was reviewed and approved by the state hydraulic engineer. So basically, we did not submit 6 more copies of this document, which is already in the town's record because it's still valid. I did email Cindy because I didn't have this in a PDF since it was from 2007. I did email Cindy like the beginning 4 pages of the narrative so that it's definitely in your records. And will be more than happy if you want 6 more copies to make them for the town's files. But that's up to you.
One.
Okay.
One would be fine. We'll make a reference on that one.
The abutters for these 3 applications were all duly notified. The signs, 3 different signs were placed in front of the premises. So I think right now I'm going to say that I conclude the common portion of the presentation. And now I will discuss the exact item on the agenda right now, which is item 2224. This is a re-subdivision because it was a one lot, and it's going to propose to be subdivided into 2 lots. So I will get design sheets. On the cover sheet, again, it shows the location of this 1 lot and the zoning table that shows that it meets all the current requirements of the RRAD. So this lot was 2 acres in size and it actually had frontage on Donovan Drive at the north and at the south. And so there's enough acreage and frontage for it to be split into 2. So the owner, Mr. LaValle, would like to do that. One of the reasons why it wasn't done in 2007 was because there was a former gravel operation on half of the lot, and it left a wetland pocket in the middle. And so over time, it was proven that that wetland pocket that had limited functions and values, wasn't functioning as a vernal pool. So the Wetlands Commission was okay with filling. So that basically enabled that 1 lot with twice the area and twice the frontage and split into 2. So that is the proposal of application 22-24, and that is Assessor's Lot 2D. And I will open up the floor to any questions on this.
Anyone have any questions for Ms. Blanchett? Mr. Poplawski?
it is approved, the IWWC and then DDH, because then I think it just said
Yes.
pending approval
They
letter.
have
So
been
it is-
approved. At this time, both approvals are in.
Okay, yeah, it just said by which time we expect, so, thank you.
And are anyone from the public have any comments or questions? And I don't see anyone on Zoom.
Make a motion to close.
Mr. Poplawski moves, Mr. Krogel seconds.
PZ 22-24.
Thank you. Closing the public hearing on application 22-24. Excuse me, is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, a yes will close, a no will keep open. Mr. Blackburn. Yes, closes. the
Yes.
public hearing.
Randy Blackburn, yes.
Mr. Lenke.
John B. Linky, yes.
Dave Paplowski, yes.
John Rice, yes.
Colleen Langlois, yes.
Ray Williams, yes.
Jane Salcy, yes.
Mike Krogel, yes.
Alvin Hill, yes.
Joseph Perotti Brown, yes. Application 22-25, applicant LaValley Construction LLC, 0 Donovan Drive, map 3, block 80, lot 2T, 2U, 2W, zone RRAD, requesting re-subdivision from 3 lots to 4 lots, 4.2 acres according to Town of Thompson subdivision regulations, Article 3, Section 4A-1. Ms. Blanchett.
Okay, first, I would like to enter into the record for this application, the common portion of my previous presentation for number 22-24. And I'll just move, this is the yellow lots, that is, this is 3 existing lots, you proposing to make them into 4. They're 4.2 acres in size, so basically it'll be like 4 1-acre lots, and they'll have enough frontage, and they'll have at least 40,000 square feet. One of the more, and just get to the right sheet. This is just kind of a highlighted portion, but I want to get to the site development sheets to go over. This is the proposed site development plans. There used to be 3, and now there's 4. One thing that's of interest in this subdivision is that in 2007, when this subdivision was originally contemplated, I walked the property with the state archaeologist, Nicholas Bellantoni. At that time, he identified in this shelf area here the potential for significant archaeological deposits of Native American encampments. So since 2007, it was a condition of approval by this commission and the state that an archaeological study needed to be done before there could be any development on these lots. So this past April, Mr. LaValley retained the services of Dr. Mark Banks. He is an archaeologist who was on the list of approved archaeologists that the state recommends to do this type of study. They dug 45 test pits, and they did recover common artifacts associated with stone tool manufacture and repair. So essentially just like, chips of flint. And that extended mostly actually in the town's open space, but in this flat area. They did not find any other additional cultural artifacts. And the conclusion was that the development of the subdivision lot shouldn't impact any significant archaeological resources in the state. And it's because this type of find is very common on flat shelves above rivers. That there was no permanent homesteads or anything like that, encampments. So what happens with this report is it gets submitted to the state historical, the SHPO office for review to see if they concur with the findings, and SHPO did concur with the findings of Dr. Banks. So the state sent a letter dated 6/30/22. No historic properties will be affected by this proposed subdivision. This work in particularly on these lots. So that's something that's kind of unique, not only to this subdivision, but in general. And you, I believe in your packet, they had the complete archaeology report.
Yes, I did.
So that was like 16 pages or something documenting all the various findings. And again, approval was obtained from the Department of Health and Water. I think I've completed my presentation. Any questions?
Any questions from Ms. Blanchett? Mr. Rice?
Yeah, how many bedrooms will those houses be?
3.
3 bedrooms, okay. Because that's what NDDH's approval was based on, 3 bedrooms, okay.
Any comments or questions from the public? I see none on Zoom.
Make a motion.
Mr. Poplawski moves to
close the public hearing on application PZC 22-25.
So Mr. Pawlowski moves to close the public hearing on application 22-25. I believe Ms. Langlois seconded. I think there was another couple of voices as well. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, a yes will close public hearing on application 22-25. A no will continue the public hearing. Mr. Hill.
Elvin Hill, yes.
Mike Krugel, yes.
Jane Salsa, yes.
Ray Williams, yes.
Shelley Langlois, yes.
John Rice, yes.
Dave Pakulski, yes.
John B. Lanky, yes.
Randy Blackmer, yes.
Joseph Brody Brown, yes. Public hearing is closed. Have a seat, grab a drink of water. You got a little interlude.
Not
as
too much.
Not too long. As we take application 22-26. Was there like a line in the office, Cindy? Like how did 26 get in here? Applicant Neil P. LLC, owner of 520 Riverside Drive, map 85, block 95. Oh, I didn't realize. Lot 10A, zone DMRD, requesting a special permit to operate a car wash, motor vehicle services, Article 4F DMRD, Section 2, number 20, for the applicant.
For the applicant, Janet Blanchett, J&D Civil Engineers. In 35 years, I've never had 4 public hearings. So this applicant is Mr. Neil Patel. He owns the Thompson Liquor Store on Riverside Drive. That's in the downtown Mill Rehabilitation District. What he would like to do is add a small car wash on the site. I'll go over the site plans with you. I'm reading the zoning regulations with Cindy. The conclusion was that use would fall into the category of motor vehicle service, and that category requires a special permit in this zone. Members of the commission probably remember that in 2021, there was an application, PZC 2108, that approved this site plan on the right-hand side. This was for the construction of one building that would house a larger liquor store, as well as a side business with a grandfathered special permit of some kind of drive-up business, and that type of business wasn't determined at that time. So from the perspective of modifying an approved site plan, there were very little revisions made because the grading didn't change, the drainage didn't change, the utilities didn't change, the vehicular and pedestrian circulation or the ENS didn't change from what was approved in 2021 to what Mr. Patel would like to do now. He would normally be at these meetings, but he's on vacation, so he wasn't available. So what he's proposing to do is to get this little orange car wash, and he would basically shrunk this building back to make it smaller to leave room for a small car wash. And that allows some good vehicle flow. The vehicle flow to the drive-through is always to wrap around the building and then come out and enter onto Riverside Drive. So this is the main change. And then in addition, near the road, you might put some bathroom stations. There was proposed future parking spaces in that area, but typically the car washes are associated with people at the back of their cars. So these parking spaces would be like bathroom spaces. I don't know if anybody on the commission is familiar with this, but this exact setup takes place at the Honey Farms convenience store right before the entrance of Indian Ranch in Webster. Any of you have ever been up there? There's actually a Honey Farms with a donut shop and a drive-through. Exactly this configuration with these 2 lanes that come. The right lane goes to the car wash, the left lane goes to the drive-through, and then there's a third bypass lane. And I went up there and observed that operation, and it did work very well as far as vehicle flow. The signage is clear, you know, when you go to the back of the building, which lane you get in, depending on what you're thinking of doing. Typically, professional car washes are better for the environment than car washing in your driveway because dirty runoff from people's cars under their driveways just flows out into the road in the storm drainage system. We can enter the streams. This will have like recycled water. They reclaim a portion of it, recycle it, and then whatever is left over goes into the sanitary sewer, not the storm sewer. So, and Mr. Patel believes that this is kind of a valuable service for residents in Thompson who now have to go to Webster or Putnam. The other woman was previously mentioning that it's a business type that we don't have in town that people might be interested in. I guess a few other points just to add into the public hearing record. The site is on public water and sewer. On August 9th, the Wetlands Commission reviewed this modified site plan and approved it. The site plans, the changes to the site plan were minimal, so we'd like to request that, you know, the CONDOT approval letter, the LID checklist, and the stormwater report from PZC application 20-108, which is this one, submitted, be considered part of this record because they're valid and they do not require modification. Again, the abutters were duly notified and the public hearing sign posted on the site in a timely manner. So Mr. Patel, I believe that the special permit would meet your special permit criteria in Article 3C, Section 5, that it should be compatible for uses in this downtown mill zone, residential zone. It's not going to be noisy or dusty or create water pollution. The vehicular traffic is safe and logical. The LID drainage system consisting of bioretention areas to the rear, they'll handle all the runoff. It's not going to go into the stream or the French River. And also the location of the car wash, where it's chosen, it's up against a paper street that's fully treed and vegetated. It's also even set back behind the front of the building, so that should have kind of a low visual impact because let's face it, car washes aren't like architectural wonders. And it also won't affect important natural and historic resources. So those are, I know, some of the criteria that the commission uses to render decisions on special permits. So I wanted to point those out.
Thank you. Any questions from Ms. Blanchett? Mr. Kroger.
Jen, on the car wash, is that going to have its own individual line out to the septic system?
It's connected to the municipal sewer. There's
Right.
First, it goes into a DEP mandated grit separator. Car washes get a car wash wastewater permit, and they go into, it's like a septic tank. It's 1,000 gallons, and then it will tie into this manhole. So
it's not going to be associated with the building in front of it. It will have its own sewer line.
Well, the building in front of it could tie into this with a Y, but this building could also, this sewer is really deep. I mean, this could also tie straight into the manhole.
Now, being on the WPCA, that would have to be a separate line.
That would be fine. When this application was approved, we submitted paperwork to the WPCA, and Donna Hall from the building department should wait until the building permit phase and come in and put in that paperwork. So if there's a preference for that, Mr. Patel would certainly comply with that.
Thank you, Mr. Kroger. Any other questions? Mr. Hill?
Janet, on the recycling of the water, what percentage of that is going to be reused for further vehicles?
That depends on which manufacturer's product that Mr. Patel goes with. So I'm not sure. They talk about in the industry about 40 gallons per car, which is similar to a one load of laundry. They use reverse osmosis, filtration, and various other degrees because, water is expensive to buy water, so. It's proprietary. I don't know exactly.
Has the water company been notified of this particular proposal?
No, they haven't.
I know they're not drilling any more wells in town. I mean,
No, but it is interesting that you mentioned that because of evaluating future expansion of zoning in the Mill Redevelopment District. Connecticut Water was contacted and they said that they do have water, the water lines in the downtown North Grovernordale could be extended south on Route 12, then they could also be extended up north on Route 12 and also in through Route 131.
so they're pretty confident that there's enough water.
It
For
seemed
future
like it,
development.
that's what I would, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. Mr. Poplawski?
Janet, the amount of parking spaces, does there have to be two entrances or is that one entrance sufficient? With, increasing the volume of traffic coming in and out of that one entrance.
Actually, the previous owner requested to DOT that he be allowed to add a second entrance to the plaza because it is kind of linear, and DOT refused that
Okay.
because they wanted to limit it to one curb cut.
The other question I had, I can appreciate the vegetation there bordering the Thompson Housing Authority, but the air drying system, there's no escaping that noise. So would it's like noted like a 2-foot concrete wall or something over there. Is there any way to put a fence or consider blocking some of that sound?
Yes, I think that would, I think something like that would be a reasonable condition of approval that I believe Mr. Patel would authorize me to agree with if you wanted a certain height of solid fence to, to run along the side of the building and extend 20 feet either side or something.
Yeah.
I'm sure he would be amenable to. something like that.
I'm thinking of a number of, hours of operation,
Yeah.
ice control, there's a whole host
Yeah.
of.
Like the airport's got.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Poplawski. Mr. Rice?
Just to backtrack, you mentioned the original plans. The anticipation was that it was gonna be a pharmacy built on that location right there. Instead of a car wash, of course, right now, but that's what the original design, you backtrack for whatever year. you said.
In
Well,
2012, there was another owner who had a building running in this direction. Perhaps that owner said he wanted to have a pharmacy. When Mr. Patel came in with the 2021 plan, he was open with the fact that he did not know what it would be. It could be a bank, a pharmacy, a donut shop, a sub shop, or just some kind of business with COVID that preferred having a,
So what's the
hands
plan
off.
now on the side of that?
It's still,
Yes, it's still there.
Huh?
yeah, so that still exists with a drive-through possibility. So that's what she was talking about, the 3 lanes. So that end piece it's still anticipated to have a drive-through lane or some sort of drive-through business. There'd be a middle lane for cars that are using neither the drive-through nor the car wash. And then the 3rd lane is the car wash.
He has no tenants proposed for the drive-up business.
And have you submitted the update to the Connecticut DOT on the plans currently? Because
No.
they had a lot of questions, as you know, back in April of 21.
Yes, all of their questions, it had to do with signage and ramps. That's what their comments were. So we adjusted and we gave them a drainage easement. So they got the drainage easement, they got the type of sidewalks, ramps they were interested in, the type of pavement markings. They weren't looking for any physical changes to the driveway.
Any questions or comments from the public?
Yeah. What's the screen?
So if you guys, sorry, if you could just, if your name and address, and sorry.
Yeah. This is the first I've seen of any of this, and I abut
And I'm
behind
sorry,
them, and I'm Dave Fournier, 542 Riverside.
thank you.
The only big concern I have is the drainage, and she said there's a drainage easement. Right now, it seems like the drainage easement is across my property, in the back. I mean, he did put a retention pond or something, but it never functioned properly. So obviously this year was no issue. Last year was just the opposite. It was a terrible issue, but on normal years, retention pond would fill up and then go across my property. So then it usually stays in my property, doesn't make it all the way to the river. But now it looks like there's just more parking space, and you were saying that there's going to be some sort of a retention pond there also for the new building. I don't see it here.
You want, yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman. In the rear of the building, there's proposed a shallow bio retention area that the runoff from the parking lot and the roof will flow into that. And then when that discharges on the rear of the property, there's another isolated depression, just historically.
So this is the one that's already there,
The one in the day, there's one for the daycare,
Right,
behind the
that's
daycare. Yes.
but that one never functioned. I remember when I first put that in, because I couldn't think it was going to work anyway. But I went down there after, when the retention pond was full, I see where it drains out, and there was nothing.
It's mostly
Right,
supposed to infiltrate if you, if there's a problem with the functioning pipe, this is the first time.
Yeah.
And so that's from the existing building that.
Yes, this is the existing
building
building.
is what's issued now, because this isn't built yet. But like, again, the curving too, there's no curving in front of this, in the highway in front of his building.
Actually, part of this proposed plan, I'm glad you brought this up. He said that there was too much water going to the rear of this building. So when he got this approved in 2021, part of that approval is to add a new catch basin in the existing parking lot and pipe it over to this side, because then it can be handled by his large backyard. So I was not aware of anything like this not functioning, but I was aware that Mr. Patel thought too much water was coming in this direction. So he asked me to design.
That's absolutely the case, and the reason is on the highway, there's no curving here. So when the water fills up, I mean, it just flows down his lawn, you know, and his driveway, and then shoots right across, it goes clear down, you know, into my property. Not that big issue, I don't use that as wetlands, so, but I'm just thinking it's even gonna be worse.
So the new catch basin is work in front of the existing building, but is due to the,
Yes,
you know,
it's going to alleviate the problem back here. So, like I said, Mr. Patel didn't tell me that this wasn't functioning, but he told me there was too much water going into the playground of the daycare. And could we please add a catch basin and get it to the other side?
does that answer your questions, Mr. Fournier?
I think so.
Thank you.
Beverly Gamble, 3 Plum Road. My house actually faces Riverside, so I am diagonally across. I'm just curious, like what kind of hours are we talking about? I mean, there's already quite a bit of noise with everybody who feels that they coming out of that lot, that it's kind of a mini raceway. But you know, I am concerned. We do have a nice little strip of residential houses in that area. I personally, I don't feel that that's an appropriate place for a car wash. I mean, if it happens, I would like, you know, the neighbors to, you know, have some consideration, or them to have consideration for the neighbors as far as the hours. And I'm very concerned about the noise. So, thank you.
Great, thank you, Ms. Carroll. Actually, I was going to ask that question as well, because I know when we there was concern about light pollution from cars coming through the drive-through when we looked at this application the last time. So I wanted to ask again, with additional cars coming through about that concern, and the hours was attached to that for me.
Yes, it is unfortunate that Mr. Patel is on vacation because I did not discuss with him in particular hours of operation, but I feel that that is really important. I mean, just like this is a special permit, just like with gravel banks, when the commission helps establish hours of operation. So, I mean, I don't know if the commission has strong feelings in the hours of operation. I mean, we could continue this. I mean, like if you have a number that you have in your mind, like no operating after 8 o'clock at night, I don't know. I really haven't discussed it with Mr. Patel. I mean, we could hold this public hearing open until next month, and he'll probably be back from vacation. But I mean,
I know Webster does shut down, the garage doors close and you can't use it after a certain, I don't know what that
Right.
time is.
I think it's 8 o'clock,
I'll tell
like
you-
through summer months, and then in the winter, it has to be like 5 o'clock.
I'll tell you, in Putnam, it's earlier than I wanted it to be, because one time I went to go get my car washed, and I couldn't believe how early they were
On an
closed.
average, on an
I think
average.
that's an important
An
point.
opening.
Yeah, yeah. Mr. Rice,
Janet, could you explain again those parking spaces that you have in orange?
the vacuum.
On the bottom, no, on the new.
Left side.
Yeah,
so
Yeah.
these were
the original.
future parking spaces, and I designed the drainage calculations as if they were all paved and impervious. So this half on the front of the sidewalk would probably put them on the 5 vacuum
Oh,
stations
okay,
there.
that's where you're gonna put the vacuum.
Right.
It's along the road, yeah, that's gonna cause.
Yes, because
That Gamble 3 Plum Road. I do have a question. If these the vacuums are going to be installed, that's gonna also create quite a bit of noise. Will those be available 24 hours a day, or do those also shut down?
That's a great question. And again, would be a question for Mr. Patel, I imagine. So, I think- Mr. Williams,
Can I make a motion that we put this off until next month?
you certainly can.
Keep it open until next.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to make a motion that we 22-26, we keep it open till next month, so hopefully.
Second,
Motion made by Mr. Williams, seconded by Ms. Salsi to continue the public hearing for application 22-26, thank you, till our September 26th meeting, the regular meeting of the Public Planning and Zoning Commission. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, a yes will continue, a no will move on to some other action. Mr. Blackburn.
Randy Blackburn.
Yes, yes will continue
Till next.
till next month. Yeah.
Yes, Randy Blackburn, yes.
John B. Linky, yes.
Dave Foskey, yes.
John Rice, yes.
Charlene Langley's, yes.
Ray Williams, yes.
Jane Salsa, yes.
Mike Kruger, yes.
Alvin Hill, yeah. Joseph Brody Brown, yes. And so that public hearing is continued to our September regular meeting. Application 22-27, applicant LaValley Construction LLC, 0 LaValley Lane, map 3, block 80, lots 2AZ, 2AA, 2AB, 2AD, 2AF, 2AG, 2AH, 2AE, 2AC, zone RRAD, requesting subdivision for 9 lots according to Town of Thompson subdivision regulations, Article 3, Section 4A-1, and Article 3, Section 4.
Thank you.
Your name for the
On this subdivision application, I would like to enter into the record the common portion of the presentation from application 22-24 regarding the overall subdivision. What this application is about is the cul-de-sac that the approval expired in 2021, December of 2021. So there's no more opportunities for renewal. So basically, the procedure is it's a new application. So it's a new subdivision application, but there has been no changes since 2007. All of the site plans prepared for the Department of Health, the road design, the drainage calculations. The only change is the setbacks for the RAD versus the R40. And we also did include, because of various confusions, is the assessor's lot numbers on each of these plans, in addition to the original subdivision lot numbers, because they are different. And so that kind of adds clarity to know where people are talking about. So this, comes off the most northern end of the loop of Donovan Drive. It almost goes up to Massachusetts. This is the state of Massachusetts. So it's just a simple cul-de-sac with 9 lots. Let's see. Yes. The applicant is requesting a waiver of the subdivision application fees since there have been no changes to the design. We sent in a formal letter with this request on August 9th. Your regulations in Article 3, Section 4, allow the commission to waive the application fee for a previously approved subdivision, which is what this is. And it's not a small amount, it's $3,150. So the applicant is requesting that you waive the fees because there have been no changes. What he proposes to do is the same process that he did on Donovan Drive, where he would build the road to the binder course, install all the drainage, install all the utilities, at the same time working on some of the houses. But before he could get any kind of COs, he would have to bond for the remaining improvements and have the road go before this commission and the Board of Selectmen and for acceptance before he could get any COs.
Questions from Ms. Blanchett, Mr. Krogel?
Yes. On the cul-de-sac in the center there, is that a monument going around it, or is it just a drawing that you have?
It's actually a grassed island with a tree. Get more of a blow up. This is a 100-foot diameter cul-de-sac with an island. It's radius 22 island. There's been some debate on whether there should be island or not island. But at the time this was approved, it was approved with an island.
It's like you say, it's been discussed, and I think we've been taking them out. Because it makes it easier for the town to do the thing. Unless it's gonna stay private all these years. And
Yeah, no, thank you, Mr. So,
This is
Mr. Wright and then Mr. Poplawski.
Is there any type of snow shelf on that circle? So in the event the town does approve it, usually there's some kind of a snow storage. Where do you push the snow?
They can put it, again, there is conditions of approval. If the current thinking is approval without an island, they could come straight through and put it in between these various driveways. There's no interior lot, so it's not loaded up with driveways. You can put the snow here. Or if there is an island, you can always push straight into the island. It's just a grassed island with a tree.
Mr. Poplawski.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I apologize, Mr. Wright. Please continue.
Thank you. This being a new application, actually, right? Because the other application has expired. Now, shouldn't you be getting approval from the wetlands and everybody else?
Yes, we did.
It's in the packet. It's in the.
Huh?
It's in the.
Yes, they actually, your approval expired for the subdivision from P and Z, but the wetlands approval was still good. And Marla confirmed that in writing. And also we resubmitted, since it's been so many years, to the Department of Health, and they reconfirmed that all of these lots still currently meet the health code and are approved.
Yeah, okay.
Mr. Poplawski.
Good, Mr. Rice.
It's in the wetland.
This is the one that Rich, there was a letter from Rich associated with this one, right? I saw a
think-
letter.
No, I think that was one
wasn't
of the
with this
earlier
one?
applications.
Okay, because I couldn't find it. Didn't
Yeah,
have
it
those.
was one of the, I think it was the first section. So I think it's 2024 is what that letter was referring to. Any comments, questions from the public? Mr. Manick, please get to the microphone.
I just had a question about this.
Yeah, if you could just to the mic so they can hear it.
I have a question for Janet. Is this Mr. Patel that owns many gas stations?
So I'm
throughout
sorry,
the-
that's the previous application.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
You were
Yeah.
asleep.
So that,
If it is him, he is very, very meticulous about his property.
So that public hearing has been continued for next month. So you can comment
Next
next
month.
month on that, Ms. Romanek. Thank you. Any other questions, comments from the public? Questions from Ms. Blanchett from the commission?
John, did you find it in your packet, the wetlands and,
No, I stopped looking when she said it was okay.
okay, it's here.
Alvin can show you.
I'll make a motion that we did close the discussion.
Mr. Krogel moves to close the public hearing for application 22-27. Mr. Hill seconds the motion. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, a yes will close public hearing, a no will continue the hearing. Mr. Hill.
Alvin Hill, yes.
Mike Grogel, yes.
Jane Salsa, yes.
Ray Williams, yes.
Charlene Langley's, yes.
John Rice, yes.
Dave Pelkey, yes.
John B. Linky, yes.
Randy Blackmore, yes. Joseph Prody Brown, yes. Public hearing is closed. Item 5, discuss public hearings and possible action.
4.
Number 4.
It's been
Oh, no,
amended.
we changed
It's
it
been
to
amended.
5 because we- yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It's 5.
Even a broken clock, right? So application 22-23, 1267 Thompson Road, that public hearing has been closed. Let discussion commence.
Yep.
22-23, yes.
All right, if I may,
Mr. Krogel.
we have heard discussion. I do personally believe it's a very small lot. I know it's not the best location for driveways, but it does meet the requirement of the zoning. We cannot choose who our neighbors are going to be. They may be the best neighbors in the world, and they may be the worst things in it forever. Cannot guarantee the length of time somebody's gonna own the property. Those are all things that is almost like fear mongering that we have no control over. If this, so the septic has been approved. She has a deeded right away to the pond. I make a motion that we accept it.
Mr. Krogel makes a motion to approve application 22-23.
I'd like to make.
Amendment?
Do you want to
Yeah,
put in
I'll
there?
do it.
condition that
I
the-
would withdraw my.
Mr. Krogel withdraws his motion. Further discussion?
Yes.
Mr. Hill.
Yes. Well, before I make a comment on this particular
permit, application tonight. Wetlands approval occurred in 2021 and it will expire in 2026 for this particular application. And I would like to make a motion now after stating that tonight's proceedings be attached to the building office 1267 Thompson Road. So in the future, if there is any issue, a lawyer or coming to before there's any selling, the lawyer would come to the building department to look at the file. And I would like tonight's discussion, especially the comments from the citizens around this particular lot, be included in that file, just for future reference.
Mr. Hill has moved that the minutes from this meeting pertaining to application 22-23, including but not limited to the comments made by the citizens during the public hearing, be attached to the building file for this property, 1267 Thompson Road. Seconded by Mr. Krogel.
I'd like to make another motion.
We will dispose of this motion.
How about comments?
I was just going to ask if there was any discussion on the motion.
Thank you.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Mr. Blackburn?
I'm not sure that, this is just a clarification, so I hope it doesn't interfere with the motion, but some of the pictures and stuff showed 167 and the application is 1267. I think that we should make sure that that is 1267, all of them are 1267, 167 is this part.
Thank you. Is that the paper that Cindy passed around? Perhaps, is that what you were referring to?
You're gonna make me go through this and find it.
That's what we received from Mr. Giza, but Cindy had passed around.
This is what you're talking about?
It says 1267.
This is 1267.
Oh, but see there, he's right. It says 167.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's on
thank
the
you.
card.
That's a good point. We'll make sure that that is all rectified as well. Mr. Santos.
Are we going to include the petition as well? Because this normally isn't included in our minutes, but would that be included in the record documents?
Yes, as it was submitted as part of the public hearing.
That's why I want this stuff in that building file.
Yep. I just didn't know if the petition was.
Cindy, there was just a comment, there's some typos on some of the labeling of the photos. It says 167 instead of 1267.
Yeah.
So if we could just make sure to clean that all up. Any further discussion on the motion to attach the minutes of this meeting pertinent to this application to the building file?
I'd just like to make a comment. I think, the people from that neighborhood spoke loudly. The place was purchased with 3 units. It was upgraded to a 4th unit without even getting approval, which is unfortunate. But I think the 3 units should stand. I don't feel that one more room, one more bed at that location does anything for anyone. For the town, for the neighbors spoke loudly. I mean, he's been in here twice, 3 times. I feel that it shouldn't be approved.
Can I just make a comment to what he said about?
Yes, I hold that thought. I want to return to the motion on the floor, which is the attachment of the relevant conversation from this evening to the building file. Is there any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, a yes will do so. We'll attach those minutes. A no will not. Mr. Hill.
Alvin Hill, yes.
Mike Krogel, yes.
Jane Salsa, yes.
Ray Williams, yes.
Charlene Langways, yes.
John Rice, yes.
This is just to attach the minutes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Dave Popolski, yes.
John B. Lynch, yes.
Andy Blackman, yes.
And Joseph Parody Brown, yes. Cindy, I'm going to let you write what you're writing and then let you say what you were going to say.
Okay, in relationship to the building permit, She got the building permit knowing that there were only 3 apartments allowed there. What she chose to do with those apartments was under the building permit, but she knew that she had to come here for that 4th apartment.
I understand that, so I
Okay,
said.
all right, I
Yeah.
just wanted to make sure that that's clear. It was not wrong giving her the building permit.
No,
to-
not at
to
all.
Demolish.
I just,
building and-
I'm acknowledging that you put the money in
Okay.
and did that before the permit on, before the acceptance of the 4th
Right.
apartment.
you took a
I was just
chance.
acknowledging, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
okay,
no,
all
I-
right, take a chance on me, yeah. Okay. This is fine.
Sure is. Any other discussion or potential action on this?
The only other thing,
Application.
do you want to put the condition of signing the CO that the approval letter from Northeast District Department of Health is in the record?
Yes.
I think certainly if.
Because we
if-
talked about
if-
that earlier.
Yes, yeah, yeah, no action has been proposed yet on this application, so certainly that'll be something to discuss. Mr. Santos.
So one other question, since it's 12667 Thompson LLC, is there a parking like layout for these units shown on any drawings since it's a business? No? Do we require that? Show where these people park? It is a business.
But it's not permitted as a commercial use.
Okay.
It's permitted as a residential use.
That's the case. Then thank you.
Any other discussion or proposed action?
I just have a comment. I feel that both sides either win or lose, however whatever the decision is tonight, because if we say no, then she has put money into a thought that was going to be 4, and then the people that live there will be upset. If we say yes, you know what I mean? So I feel like it's kind of a catch 50-50, but I'm hoping that whatever the decision is that it seems like the reputation that she has with her neighbors at this point, you guys all seem to be communicating and working through that. So whether it goes in favor of or not in favor of that, the reputation of the people that you have in your.
First time I met her.
Well, it seems like you didn't have a bad thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like I
thank you,
just,
Ms. Lin, yeah.
however it works out, work it out to the best for everybody because of the neighborhood that you're in. It's tight down there. And that's just, I mean, the person was living there before she purchased it. She took the bum rap on that and had to go through her own issues with him, but you lived there longer, you dealt with it longer. So it's just kind of a.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Sorry. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Ms. Langlois. Any other discussion or proposed action? I would echo some of what Mr. Krogel said. I certainly am sympathetic to to the comments we heard this evening. And while I was appreciative, Ms. Halsey, of your line of questioning about, who lives there and the longevity and all of that. And was happy to hear the answers we heard. That's unfortunately a bit secondary to what we have in front of us. What we have is an application that, to my mind, as Mr. Krogel said, meets the requirements for the district. And so if there's no further discussion, I will make a motion to approve application 22-23.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Krogel.
Oh, the conditions.
Certainly, as we now discuss the motion, if there's anyone who would like to add any conditions to the application, now would be an appropriate time to do so.
There was out. Did you have that condition?
There was
The health department with the approval.
yes, that the CO would not be issued without the subsequent approval notification from NDDH. I will amend my motion to include that condition. Mr. Krogel?
Second.
Mr. Krogel seconds as amended. So the motion as amended is to approve application 22-23 with the condition that no CO is to be issued until approval from NDDH is received.
Can I just read what I wrote?
You certainly can.
Okay, condition CO will be issued when final NDDH approval is placed in the record. Is that good?
Thank you.
Ladies?
I mean, that's standard procedure.
Any further discussion? Ms. Altsey?
I'm really conflicted on this one because I feel for both sides of this. But as Mr. Krogel said, our regulations are put into play and that's what we're here to follow. So as much as I feel for both sides, we have to follow our own regulations that we put in place.
Thank you, Ms. Altsey. Any other discussion? Hearing none, a yes vote will approve application 2223 with condition. A no vote will deny the application. Mr. Blackmer?
Randy Blackmore, yes.
John D. Lanky, yes.
Dave Pakulski, no.
John Rice, yes.
Charlene Langlois, yes.
Oh, boy. I'm gonna have to say Ray Williams, yes, because it follows our regulations.
And that's why I'm voting Jane Salsey, yes, we have to follow our regulations.
Mike Krogel, yes.
Alvin Hill, yes.
Joseph Perotti Brown, yes. The application is approved. The vote of 9-1. Thank you, everyone who is here this evening. Item, application 22-24. This is the 1 to 2 lot subdivision for La Valley Construction LLC.
Ready for a motion?
I am ready for a motion or potential action or discussion. I'm ready for all of the things, Mr. Blackmer.
I would move we approve 22-24.
Mr. Blackmer moves, Mr. Hill seconds the approval of application 22-24. Sorry, Mr. Pulaski, you waited till Randy finished the
That's fine.
sentence.
I was letting him go.
That was the issue. Any discussion on the motion to approve? Hearing none, a yes vote approves, a no vote denies. Mr. Hill?
Alvin Hill, yes.
Mike Krogel, yes.
Jane Salsey, yes.
Ray Williams, yes.
Charlene Langlois, yes.
John Rice, yes.
Dave Pakulski, yes.
John B. Lanky, yes.
Randy Blackmore, yes.
Joseph Perotti Brown, yes. The application is approved unanimously. Application 22-25, La Valley Construction LLC applicant. This is the 3 lots to 4 lots subdivision, map 3, block 80, lots 2T, U, and W.
I'll make a motion to accept 22-25.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Hill, seconded by Mr. Krogel to approve application 22-25. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, a yes will approve, a no will deny. Mr. Blackmer?
Randy Blackmore, yes.
John B. Lanky, yes.
Dave Pakulski, yes.
John Rice, yes.
Charlene Langlois, yes.
Ray Williams, yes.
Jane Salsey, yes.
Mike Krogel, yes.
Alvin Hill, yes.
Joseph Perotti Brown, yes. Application 22-25 is approved unanimously. 22-26 was continued till September. Application 22-27, applicant La Valley Construction LLC, 0 La Valley Lane, map 3, block 80, subdivision for 9 lots.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Krogel?
I'm not sure the proper wording I'd like, but I would like to perhaps have a discussion, or somebody have a discussion, Janet, with the town highway department come to terms with the center tree and the surrounding area and a spot to put the snow. I I know how difficult it is for the trucks to plow around several things. And the snow is gonna have to be put somewhere. So that would be my concern. I'd like to make that a condition of this passing.
Okay, so motion was made to add as a condition to any approval of this application that the applicant and the town Public Works Department discuss the placement of the island in the center of the cul-de-sac and the placement of snow removal.
It's asking for a waiver of the feet.
And the waiver of the fee,
Yeah.
yes.
I accept the waiver of the fee.
Mr. Rice,
No, this is a new application, it's the one, that's a brand new application.
yes.
Right. Well, my. Myself personally, I don't think that we should be waiving the fee. And that's a new, I know it's $3,100, I think Janet said $3,150. But the thing is, it's still town responsibility because there's no roadway there currently, right?
Mhm.
Is that the town is still gonna have to go out and check it. The pavement, when we get a highway superintendent, we'll be spending time out there looking at, and I don't think we can go by Rich's letter when he observed the good work that the Valley Construction was doing on the rest of that complex. So.
But he paid for that once, right?
Pardon?
He paid for that once, the first time.
No, I don't think that was included in.
Yeah, it
this.
was.
It was.
Yeah.
It was
So,
included.
yeah,
So-
so that's,
But there again, it's a new application,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah, and I hear you, John, that it's a new
Fall.
application. I just, wonder if the regulations include the language, that a fee may be waived for previously approved subdivision.
Oh,
What situation are we thinking of if we weren't thinking of a situation like this? We're talking less than a year since it expired.
I think Cindy quoted some regulation that we had regarding that.
Probably not.
that we could-
Seriously, I'm serious. I just quoted the regulation that you're approving a subdivision under, but I do not believe I went that far. I'm sorry. Yes, I do not believe. I did that. If I did. I didn't.
Slap your hand.
So-
You did.
So when this happens.
I
now,
did?
Because it's a new application, does that have to go to NDDH and to wetlands all over? So I think wetlands already gave them their approval, right?
And NDDH also said they were.
Pardon?
NDDH is in the file. But right here.
Yeah, so the
They approved it
wetlands, the
also.
wetlands had not yet expired.
I guess I'm bored because it's a brand new application. You have to treat it like a brand new application. So how do you go back to NDDH and says, unless they file the paperwork, so this is a new application.
Well-
And wetlands says.
Yeah, so the wetlands
NDDH.
application had not yet expired.
Yeah.
Right, no, yeah, that's a 10-year NDDH though.
And the NDDH, they went to with the plans and reconfirmed the NDDH approval. That's in our packet.
Yeah.
And Janet can.
For the new thing, okay, all right.
Oh, yeah, it's right here. It's right here. It's on the back of, we two-sided everything. Some to say paper,
Save
it's on
the
the
trees.
back of the map of delineating the lots. Not you.
Any further discussion on the, which I still don't think we have an official motion on yet, but we began discussing the fee waiver. Any further discussion on that? If there's no discussion, I will entertain a motion.
Well, is there a way that it isn't it's technically new, but it's not new. So is there a wording that we can change in there that if something was to expire shortly, like if this was 2021 and, do you know what I mean, like close to it, is there, so that it doesn't come up and we seem like we're favoring somebody because it's this applicant doing.
Well, so I think what Charlene is saying is we can cite the regulation that Janet cited in her presentation. And we can, if we were to grant the fee waiver, we could say, based on the regulations that we already have that allow us to do so. And because it is less than a period of 12 months since its expiration, and then that sets a precedent for us to follow in the future. That, it has to be within 12 months for us to. Or is that what you're
That's what I'm
suggesting?
thinking, like, yeah, so that it doesn't.
So the
seem like
regulation
we're-
exists as
right,
it is,
as is.
but we can set ourselves a benchmark tonight if we choose to do so.
It helps us be
Extension.
consistent, and then it lets them know they have 12 months, so they better get in here and do something, because on the 13th month, they're a new, then it starts all over, because something else would have expired.
Why, what makes it the difference from 12 months or 13
Well,
months?
like-
You're not saying that's not part of the
Or maybe,
regulations.
right.
But certainly, but John, like so much of the
This
work we do.
application is 12 months late, right?
Nope.
No.
January,
January.
January, so it's like.
I mean, not 12 months.
Well,
but
you were
it
at
expired.
7, 8 months.
It expired.
It expired 8 months
8 months
ago.
ago.
So
Mhm.
I'm just, okay. That's
Yeah.
all right.
But John,
Not gonna do
to answer your question with a serious response, right? So much of what we do is, we set a boundary
Yeah.
because we have to, right? And there's not much difference between 16 and 14, but we have to set 15 as
Right.
the difference.
So
There's
the
not
next-
much difference between
So the
11 months
next
and
one
13.
comes in and says, and it's 17, so we'll say,
Well, we
okay.
said that 15 is where we set the limit. Mr. Krogel.
It's okay.
Personally, I think 12 months is too long a time. 6 months, I could probably go with that. But again, it comes down to, and nothing personal here, when your applications expire, you should have to pay a fee. When your license expires, driver's license, real estate license, any license, you have to go through certain things to get that license back, and it costs you money. By grandfathering, or not grandfathering, but allowing people to get permits by waiving the fees is not helping anyone, because now it's gonna say, well, you allow this one to do it, why aren't you allowing me to do it?
Well, yeah,
You know,
I agree
and
with
And
that.
it's got to do with Mrs. Brzezinski. I voted no this year, I voted no last year. It's a renewal, you pay your fee. If you don't want to do anything with that property, you don't do it. But you
But I
still
feel
know
like
it's an
we're,
obligation.
we're supposed to be working with the people in our community, so if
6 months,
they're,
what would you consider a period of time? I mean, I know,
are you asking me?
no, I'm
Oh.
asking.
You can't, we're,
Okay, well, I'm just saying,
Not
we all,
allowed,
we
not
all know
kosher.
there are deadlines,
Yeah.
and I know we all work to help the town out. I'm not against helping the town out, but I think it's something we have to put into the new regulations with certain timeframes and everything else. And I mean, I'm not against waiving the fee this time. I understand things.
I'm sorry.
No, you
cannot. Sorry.
But that's all I have to say.
Good try.
It makes it look like you're favoring one and not another.
That's
Yeah,
why
that-
I was saying, set something so that when this happens, we're not, it's the 13th month or the 7th month, you lose, you owe $3,100. Like, I think we need to have
You know,
that.
it's like the property on Boston Ave with Peter.
Mhm.
Okay, it's the same thing. We waive that. There's no reason. He
But
had
once
five-
this date's
he had
set,
five- he
we're
had
not.
5 years to do it. Do it.
Okay,
You
so
know, pay the fee.
so I'm just gonna ask for a roll call. This is not a vote, a roll call.
Present.
Consensus on, if there's an appetite to waive the fee, we'll add it as a condition, or not as a condition, but we'll add it to the app. If there's not, we can move on. So just let me know if you are in favor of waiving the fee or not. Mr. Blackmer,
I'd waive it.
Mr. Lenking,
Yeah, we'll waiver it.
Mr. Poplawski,
Yes.
Mr. Rice,
No,
Ms. Langlois,
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Ms. Celsi,
toss a coin,
I'm sorry,
toss a coin.
toss it going. Yeah, no, the way it stands, no.
Mr. Krogo,
Yes.
I told him I told him I'm not against waiving it
No,
this time, but we have to stop.
I'm a yes, that's 7 yeses, three no's. So let's,
Toss the coin, it came up.
I guess.
And it was a double-headed coin even.
So we'll add the waiver of the fee to a proposed action. Do we want to, as Ms. Langlois suggested, set, because it falls within 9 months, because it falls within 12 months, we are waiving the fee? No, says Mr. Hill. No, says Mr. Rice. No, says Ms. Salsi.
No.
No, okay. In that case, we have we have no action yet on the application, but we do have a waived fee, and we do have a conversation about.
I make a motion, we accept the application of.
I'll second.
27.
2227.
Okay, Mr. Krogel moves acceptance of application 22-27, seconded by Mr. Hill, with the condition of discussing with the town Public Works Department the island at the middle of the cul-de-sac, and with a waiver of the application fee. Mr. Krogel motion, Mr. Hill seconded. Is there any discussion on that motion? Mr. Williams?
Yeah, should we wait and talk before we accept this? Should we talk to the Department of Public Works about removing that?
I think that's a small enough item, it isn't gonna matter.
Okay.
Somebody can push that tree over.
Yeah, they will.
So we'll authorize the Public Works Department. to-
Okay, okay.
I'm sure
Thank you.
Mr. LaValle and the Highway Department can come to an agreement on that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for raising the point, Mr. Williams. Any further discussion? Hearing none, a yes will approve with condition and a waiver of the fee. No will deny the application. Mr. Hill?
Alvin Hill, yes.
Mike Krugel, yes.
Jane Salsa, yes.
Ray Williams, yes.
Colleen Langlois, yes.
All right, yes.
Dave Paplowski, yes.
John B. Linky, yes.
Randy Blackmer, yes.
Joseph Brody Brown, yes. The application with condition is approved unanimously. Item 6, citizens' comments. Invite from both the Ms. Blanchett.
Janet Blanchett, 401 Ravenel Road. I just wanted to make one comment about Mr. Krugel's saying if the license expires. In this case, that's not an apt analogy because he absolutely would have come in and renewed to keep his application valid. There's state statutes, you can only renew so many times and then it's expired. And that's because if the town enacts new regulations, that you can't have some subdivision be renewed for 40 years. So he couldn't have just renewed his license.
Right, I
Thank you,
understand.
Ms. Blanchett. Thank you. Thank you. Any other citizens' comments, either? I see, yes, Ms. White and then Ms. Clark.
Good evening, this is Sally White at 308 East Thompson Road. I was just noticing something in your list of correspondence, and not knowing how late this meeting would go, I thought I would make a few comments and data points for commissioners and you, Mr. Chairman, in terms of I don't know the nature, but I am wondering about the nature of the Northeast Site Solutions correspondence letter. I would be interested to know if they are inquiring about site acquisition or construction of a cell tower. Those are two of their services, among other things. And having a little bit of experience with antenna business arrangements and towers, I would hope that this company, which is based out of Sturbridge, but is listed with the Massachusetts Corporation Division as a foreign entity, I hope that there would be serious due diligence by the finance office if indeed they're looking to do some type of site acquisition on town land or even private land. And also what would be very critical too, realizing of course that the FCC does regulate telecom type structures, but the FCC has a different agenda than at the local level and the state level. And it would be really critical to ensure that we have well-reasoned and tight regulations. And I see that Article 5A, Section 6 deals with wireless communications. And I would hope that the commissioners would ensure that they would cover a multitude of concerns and best interests of the town being, of course, everyone that pays taxes and lives in the town. But I looked at their website. I wasn't impressed by their website. I don't know if anyone is familiar with anybody there, but I hope, Mr. Chairman, that you would share the nature of that correspondence. And again, I encourage you all to make sure that we have well-reasoned, tight regulations and that due diligence be done as to their financial integrity, their past construction dealings with any other towns or entities. Very, very important. And I think, oh, and also I'd like to know the date of the receipt of the correspondence from Northeast Site Solutions. I trust that they are all time stamped as to when they're time and date stamped as to when they're received.
Yeah, certainly, Ms. White. Just because, as you mentioned, correspondence is further down in the agenda. This letter is in regard to maintenance of a property that was approved in 1998 by the town of Thompson. So we're looking at something approved nearly a quarter century ago. It was received in the office on August 1st.
Let's put a generator in.
Okay, so it may appear to be simple, but I hope that it's looked at very carefully.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Ms. White.
Thank you.
Ms. Clark?
Hi, Valerie Clark, 105 Elm Road. I'm going to start out by requesting, if possible, if I happen to run over 3 minutes, that you'll allow me. I have a number of items that are, I think, pressing. The first one is that my understanding from last week's subcommittee meeting of the P&Z was that there were going to be documents posted for public comment. I do not see those posted. So I don't know where people would find out about that. This goes back to the points that were raised earlier during the public hearings, that communication with the townspeople is just absolutely abhorrent in this town. There is almost no way to find out what's going on in this town that's of importance. And certainly the rewrite of the regulations is incredibly important. So this was another example of rushing through, trying to meet a deadline without taking adequate and proper process steps. There should be advertising in the paper that you are looking at your annual rewrite of the regulations. With that, my comments regarding the rewrite of the regulations. I agree with the concept of the net buildable area being put back in, and I would advise you to adopt what Marla Butts has recommended without revision. Secondly, the as of right livestock, what was put before you, as I've mentioned in an email to the commission, was not the agriculture recommendation, but rather a modification that the town planner made to fit items into boxes that don't make sense for medium and large livestock. The recommendation, as I understood it from the Agriculture Commission, was that it was going to be numbers of animals per half acre increments in excess of a buildable building area, and that included swine, and there were good reasons for that. And that's not what was put before you. The next item is the consideration of permissive versus restrictive zoning regulations. Too many items, as have been brought up over and over and over for the past longer than a year, is that too many items are not possible to include under the permissive model. Citizens over the past year have commented that they were not permitted to breathe oxygen. There was the issue around slaughtering and processing deer not being allowed. Another example that I see is if the commission adopts the definition under livestock that it shall not include wild animals. Under the permissive model, does that mean I'm not allowed to have squirrels run through my yard, fox or deer, because it's not permitted? And then I'll switch topics. I'm going to cite, because I think some members of the commission that sometimes are seated on the commission have trouble with this concept. I'm going to give you the definition of the word recuse. And the quote is, unqualified to perform legal duties because of a potential conflict of interest or a lack of impartiality, unquote. Next, if you're not seated as a member of the commission to vote, you shouldn't be sitting at the table. Next, I have a question for the chair. Does the P&Z verify whether a business that's applying for a permit is a valid business? And if they claim to be a Connecticut business, whether they're registered and whether they're paying their fees to be a registered business in Connecticut? That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. And we will, those points will be addressed at different points in this meeting as well. Okay. Thank you. Mr. Warner.
Bill Warner, Old Davis Road. I just want to bring up that by waiving the permit fee on an application, the taxpayers of Thompson end up having to pay for the legal notice for that public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Warner. Let's see. Seeing no further citizens' comments at this time. Item 6, approve the minutes of the July 25th, 2022 regular meeting minutes.
Make a motion to approve.
Sorry, Mr. Rice moves the approval of the minutes of the July 25th, 2022 regular meeting. Mr. Blackmer seconds. Any discussion? Hearing none, a yes vote will approve, a no vote will not. Mr. Hill.
Hill, yes.
Mike Gogol, yes.
Jane Salcy abstain.
Ray Williams, yes.
Charlene Langlois, yes.
John Rice, yes.
Dave Pelkey, yes.
Randy Blackmer, yes.
Joseph Purdy Brown, although I was absent from the meeting, I did watch the recording and look at the minutes and vote yes. Mr. Lenke is absent from the table at the time of this vote. So those are approved with 8 affirmative votes, 1 abstention. And I would like to thank the vice chair for his able chairmanship in my absence. Item 7, applications. Application 22-29, applicant and property owner Carol Rossetti of 404 Pompeo Road, map 77, block 62, lot 54F, zone RRAD. Request permit to operate a bed and breakfast Airbnb according to zoning regulations, article and 4A, section 2-8, article 7, definitions. Bed and breakfast.
Applicant's here, right? Okay. Do you have any questions on the applicant or the application? It's an existing apartment. The NJDH approval is in the record. I don't know what else you want to know about it.
This is the one we wanted the water tested. Is that?
No.
No, okay.
Mr. Rice?
Make a motion to approve application 2220-29.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Mr. Rice, seconded by Mr. Lenke to approve application 22-29. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, a yes will approve, a no will deny. Mr. Blackburn.
Randy Blackburn, yes.
John B. Lanky, yes.
Dave Paplowski, yes.
Sean Rice, yes.
Charlene Langley's, yes.
Ray Williams, yes.
Jane Salsa, yes.
Mike Krugel, yes.
Alvin Hill, yes.
Joseph Perotti Brown, yes. The application is approved unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Application 2231 was moved to the top of the meeting. Application 22-32, applicant New Boston Beef LLC of 9 Fabian Woodstock Road. Property owner Jonathan and Sarah Eddy, map 19, block 85, lot 1AA, zone RRAD, request approval of permit with commission site plan review to operate a farm store according to amended zoning regulations, Article 4A, Section 2, number 10, and Section 4A.
Large map out for you to see, but Sarah's gonna come.
What's the application number on this one, Joe?
2232. Yeah, go ahead, or if anyone, if you have anything you'd like to say, to add to your application, or if anyone has any questions for the applicants.
It's our first farm store application under new regulations. Everybody. And she's working with the design engineer. There's the map there. Does anybody have any questions?
Let's just down store, whether you want to have in the store. Like, chicken.
My husband Jonathan raises beef. He has for many years. We raise pigs as well. And I am a classically trained chef. So we hope to combine those two things. The main focus being beef and pork, but we do we grow vegetables as well. We are not going to be a produce stand. We do not want to compete with our neighbors. We want to create prepared meals. So you can come in and purchase tomato sauce, you can purchase meat, you can purchase pork, you can purchase salads that we've grown, you can purchase soup, salads, all of that. All of that.
So it'll be a commercial kitchen as well.
Yes, correct.
I knew that.
Jason Jewin.
So you're planning on cooking meals there to sell meals,
Yes.
like a restaurant type thing, or?
So you can come and sit in there. I don't envision it being a sit down situation. Like I want a family table. I want people to come and enjoy themselves. But there's not going to be a waitress. There's not someone there who's going to take your orders. It's just going to be me. I'm happy to cook for you. I want to cook, a cheeseburger to order or something along those lines, but
It would be.
there's
more
no
like
fry later.
Ray
There's
Williams,
no.
family of 5, can we come in at 8
Yeah.
o'clock or 5 o'clock for lasagna dinner or something like that? It wouldn't be ready on
On
the
that
spot.
day.
You would have to call
In advance.
in advance for.
Okay, so I was picturing something like a
Calling in advance.
So I
There's a
was
whole case of lasagna of beef stew.
like a
Oh, yeah,
sweet
yeah,
peas,
yeah.
like a sweet peas type
Yes,
situation.
I now want to put myself in the category because we're actually a farm store and actually.
Right,
grow
right.
those.
A farm store version of sweet peas is
But
what I was
yes,
imagining.
like, yes, prepared meals, reheat. You guys come from the
I don't
office,
have
get
time,
your lunch
yeah.
and, yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
And
But
if
if
we
you want to
choose-
sit there and
Yeah.
you want to enjoy your salad, you want to enjoy your beef stew in there, I'm happy to have you. Absolutely. Yes.
Bring your chair though.
No, there will be chairs. there will be-
A limited number, Mr.
We'll have nice metal ones like this.
Said you was a cook, I didn't know if it was going towards the restaurant part of it, you know?
Where's the driveway?
Well, she's aware of the licenses she has to.
Yes. Yeah.
Apply to for the state.
Yeah.
to
And it's
open
really
up.
more of just upgraded licenses from what I already hold for food safety and management licenses.
I think we're the truck. Yeah, so is the, I'm not sure if you're, it's the driveway where the tracking pad for construction is.
Yes.
Yeah, you absolutely can.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Right there.
There's another map if you guys want to look at.
That's
the
gonna
bigger
be
map
quite
over there.
steep.
You wanna look at the
I'm
site
good.
plan?
No.
It's all flat. It's-
Not there, it's pretty flat.
It's current farm.
Well, I mean, just the first 20 feet or so.
Isn't that coming, that's coming right up to Fabian Road?
Fabian Woodstock
Got the
Road,
weeds
Fabian
down.
Woodstock Road, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Fabian Road goes up.
which is very
I know,
steep.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I
Okay.
live.
So we've reached the witching hour where we all, we've been very disciplined and now we're getting a little
Yeah.
in control. Are there any other, Mr. Williams, question for the
I'd just like to
applicant?
make a motion that we accept 22-32.
I second the motion.
Okay, Mr. Williams has moved and Ms. Salsi has seconded the approval of application 22-32. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, a yes will approve, a no will deny. Mr. Hill.
Mr. Hill, yes. Alvin Hill, yes.
He wants to get his meals on.
Mike Kruger, yes.
Jane Salsa, yes.
Ray Williams, yes.
Charlene Langley's, yes.
John Rice, I'm going to recuse myself based on the information we got tonight. Is that I think, I'm pretty sure my wife is related to Mr. Eddie.
Thank you, Mr. Rice. Mr. Poplawski.
Who is that?
That's free
Are
meals,
we allowed to
John,
ask that?
free meals.
Dave Poplawski, yes.
Are we allowed to ask that? Who? Who's your wife?
Go ahead.
Keach. Keach. I'll talk to you later.
John B. Lakely.
We've never shared a
John
meal
will
together.
call
I'm
in
not
advance.
sure.
And Joseph Brody Brown, yes, that
Call in
is
advance for his-
Yeah.
nine affirmative votes, one abstention due to recusal.
Just
Thank
in
you
case.
and good luck.
Appreciate it very much.
He's just being safe.
Cautious.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the word.
You want
That's on the agenda again. The next item is application 22-33.
No, 33. Yeah, Dave Cohen.
Applicant David Coleman, owner of property at 0 Hagstrom Road, map 19, block 85, lot 6A, zone RRAD, gravel permit operation renewal.
Is anybody here representing them?
Nobody's here.
They do, they have, you know, they brought the application in to me, they had to come.
They're probably gonna come about 10.
Make a motion to approve the
What about the
extension
waiver?
of 1 year,
The waiver.
22-33, due to the reason is lack of mining at the site and waive the fee.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Rice, seconded by Mr. Blackmer to accept application 22-33 and waive the application fee due to the information given about lack of mining.
Lack of what?
Mining, that no work was done.
It's inactive.
Oh,
No money's being made.
okay.
Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, a yes will approve with the fee waiver, a no will deny the application. Mr. Black.
Randy Blackmer, yes.
John B. Linky, yes.
Dave Poplawski, yes.
John Rice, yes.
Charlene Langley's, yes.
Ray Williams, yes.
Jane Salsa, yes.
Mike Kruger abstained.
Alvin Hill abstains.
Joseph Brody Brown, yes. So that is 8 affirmative votes, 2 abstentions. Item number 9, applications received after the agenda was posted. None.
Yay.
Item 9A, reports of officers and staff, planners report, including the zoning amendment update.
Okay, so as it turns out, Valerie's public comment is relevant to what we were already going to discuss tonight. At the last meeting we had, it was originally the plan, following our last subcommittee meeting to discuss the zoning regulations update, to post a document for public comment. Following that meeting and discussion with the CEO and town council, it was determined we actually did not have a complete document to be posted for public comment. And part of that is because the wetlands agent, the chairs of the Inland Wetlands Committee and the Planning and Zoning Commission, myself, the CEO, the first selectman, and J&D Engineering have a joint meeting to come to a single set of recommendations for a proposed set of updates. So my recommendation, and I believe Ms. Clark was copied on the correspondence that came through to everyone via email. With that in mind, again, that meeting, actually, I don't think I mentioned when it was. That meeting is this coming Thursday morning. Following that, I expect to work up a single document with all of the proposed changes. But because we had somewhat light attendance at that last discussion meeting, and I think there are some open issues, I would suggest that we have another subcommittee meeting on Thursday, the 1st of September at 7 o'clock, if that is amenable to the commission. Before we get to that, I also would like to actually thank Valerie. She did some very good work and made some very good recommendations at the request of the Agriculture Commission regarding rules for livestock. As I recall, and the vice chair can correct me if I am wrong, we had asked Valerie specifically to address equine regulations. In her email correspondence, she indicated that she thought that it made sense to include livestock in general in her recommendations. I would say that most of what she recommended was excellent and was passed up almost entirely as presented. But the logic behind her specific recommendations for as of right numbers did not fit with the format we had previously arrived at for poultry. And there are other practical reasons why we would want to keep those same levels. So that is my addressing Ms. Clark's concerns. I think I got both of the relevant ones there. And therefore, I'm just going to suggest if the commissioners could look at their schedules and see if Thursday the 1st works.
I have a commitment that night.
You do? Okay. I mean, I can doodle poll it. That is my first available.
Yeah, I
occasion
have
when
a
I can do
commitment that night also.
Okay.
Maybe doodle poll and then give a couple.
I will say that I get somewhat indifferent results from the doodle poll. Let me take a look here. Hold on.
You already got my doodle. I'm in.
I know, you're always available. How about the following Thursday, the 8th of September? Can we do that? Or is that also?
No, Jane can't make it.
No, that's good.
I can't make it. I'm in Pennsylvania.
Tira, as,
I'll just have to doodle it, but it looks like it's all Thursdays between now and then. I've got.
You know what,
extra
you're
meetings
right,
scheduled.
I can zoom that, that'll work.
The 8th?
Yeah,
Okay.
you're right.
So if you guys can pencil it in for the 8th, we can all confirm that, but let's plan on a subcommittee meeting on Thursday, the 8th of September.
I'm sorry, thank you. Anything else, Tira?
Not really.
That was at 7, sorry.
We've been doing it at our usual
Okay.
meeting time, correct?
Just make sure there's a link, so.
And we took that as the 8th, correct?
Yep.
Yes,
The
we
ninth.
did.
8th at 7 p.m.
Go check your tires, John.
September 8th,
Yes.
whatever. Yeah, that's when I'm supposed to go.
I've been threatened before.
Thank you. Okay, so that's your set, Tira.
So September
I'm
8th,
set.
you're saying that
It's a
It's a
subcommittee
subcommittee.
meeting discussion for subdivision
on the
regulations.
7th.
Via Zoom.
Okay, so
On-
Actually,
On the
let-
8th,
7.
let me
oh,
correct
at
that one.
7.
Oh, wait.
okay, I'm sorry. everyone.
The date and time are correct. Let me change my recommendation, not to a subcommittee meeting, but a special meeting.
Special
Because if it
meeting.
is a special meeting, then you can vote to advance those.
Yep.
And then that would be the public, yes. So we have been making them subcommittee meetings because they've just been advisory and
Mhm.
discussion. In this case, I would recommend it actually be constructed as a special meeting.
So if there is no objection, the chair will schedule a special meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission for Thursday, September 8th at 7 p.m. via Zoom.
I have a question.
Mr. Krogel.
How many people attend these Zoom meetings? Not board members, but citizens.
It varies,
It
but
depends. We've had
1,
2 or 3 the
2,
last time.
3. Not a lot, but
Just like when they're in prison.
yes. It's not any benefit, it's not more beneficial either way.
what we found helpful for having them at Zoom meetings is working through the document.
Yeah, because we get to see them.
In this
That's-
case, I would make the observation that since the purpose of this meeting is passing up a document specifically to generate public comment, that it is the work of the commission and the commissioners during that meeting which is relevant. The public is going to be given the opportunity to comment on the set of
So
recommendations.
this
that has
would
to
just
be-
be having a meeting to vote on, to make the proposals to the public.
Yes.
Correct. Yeah. And then, yes,
Well-
and then we would have to set a public hearing and have the whole schmear and the public comment.
Well, we're
period
gonna
and
do
all
the
that.
application.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yep.
right.
Mhm. Application, accept the application for public hearing.
So it's a one agenda item. then.
Yes.
Exactly.
Thank you. Ms. Pat.
Everyone.
Okay, item 9B, ZEO memo. Anything to add, Cindy?
No, I just don't ever want another nightmare like this again, without with the recording secretary on vacation, but other than that, yeah, I'm great.
So Cindy, I'm gonna, while you had stepped out, Ms. Clark had asked a question about when businesses make applications, is there a verification that they are registered with the state of Connecticut?
Do we require that by our regulations?
I don't believe we do.
Okay, so the only time we verify is on home occupation because of the bank, it's a cycle. They go to the bank to get a bank checking account and business name. They ask if they have a trade certificate. They come in and ask for the trade certificate. And then they ask if they have a home occupation and they come into my office. That's as far as verifying, it's not in our regulations that we have to verify that they have a business with the state of Connecticut. I would imagine that that's a town clerk's issue, not ours.
Thank you, Cindy.
Okay.
Item C, Town of Thompson Budget Report, July 2022.
Still good anyway. The only expenses, secretary and the CEO. Thus far.
Thank you, Mr. Rice. Item 10, correspondence. We received no minutes from the zoning board of appeals from August because they did not meet. We did receive a correspondence from the town of Putnam about a amendment to their regulations regarding cannabis facilities. And a notification from the town of Webster regarding a zoning board of appeals decision, as well as the Northeast Site Solutions correspondence that Ms. White mentioned. Any questions or comments on those from the commission? Item 11, signing of Mylar, PZC application 22-15.
I have not even looked at it and I made the decision not to look at it until you come up with the conditions of the application, which is on old business.
Item 12, old business, review of Planning and Zoning Commission 0 West Thompson Road gravel operation approval conditions. So
Did everybody get a copy of this in your packet? Oh, okay, you're looking at it because
And so to remind the commission, this was an approval that was
June 27th.
decided at our June meeting with a lengthy number of conditions and so I believe what Cindy is looking for us from is verifying that these conditions are
what you said, but Attorney Heller is, on Zoom there, and I included his memo, right, everybody?
Mhm, yes.
Yeah, okay, all right. So however you want to proceed with Attorney Heller being independent, go for it. This is what I'm telling you, what I transcribed, and I'll
Mhm.
say it again. Listening to the tape, reading my notes, and reading the secretary's minutes
Yeah.
and her notes in the minute.
Certainly, I think I definitely remember the language of both parties, which is the first point that Attorney Heller brings up. I think that's definitely the language that was used. So that's no fault, like that's no knock on you, Cindy. But I would agree with the attorney that the applicant,
What we suggest, 4?
yeah.
I'm sorry,
For
what was
both
that?
parties.
So this is the first point
Yeah,
from the
yeah,
attorney.
yeah, I've got that. I didn't get what Cindy
She
said.
said 4 because it's item
Okay,
4.
okay.
So yeah, changing both parties to the applicant and Ashton Briggs.
Well, what about, Woodland Green Road? Okay, okay, yes, okay. And I'm not gonna say Ashton Briggs, I'm going to say the address of the location, because we don't know if
May
So you
not
say
be
the-
Ashton Briggs then.
right. Okay, I agree with that. Okay, between both parties. And homeowner. Okay. Very good. You do that. That was number 5.
Yeah, the bonding question, I think, was,
But wasn't it like 20 years from now or something? Was
10
this the
years.
one? 10 years.
Right.
So
They
we
could do it
were,
tomorrow.
yes.
Don't believe anyone.
Brian.
Yeah, that statement 1 year
believe your
before it was actually said.
Brian,
Yeah,
I
it
did say
was.
that.
Yeah.
I said
One
one
year.
year and
Yes.
it would be all 4 phases paid up front. That's what my notes say.
Per phase, or you're gonna all four? at
All
one
4
time?
all at once.
Well, I think that's a little
lot.
steep. It's gonna take them 10 years to do that project as well. Then ask them to put up
It's an insured.
a year in advance to start with, I think is outrageous, and I would, my opinion is that per phase would be adequate. But it has to be upfront rather than, but a year upfront is a long time to post, especially if you're asking for the whole thing. Put up the money a year before you think about scratching the ground. That's my opinion.
It's a surety bond. It's not like it's cash.
Still think a year in advance is,
Well, in that case, if Brian is saying, I think that that has to be stipulated in here, because the way I'm reading it, this is he submitted Town of Thompson Finance Director 12,000 per acre. So it sounds like it's a cash deal. We ought to be,
well, don't our regulations indicate the type of bonds
Yeah,
that
you
we
can do
accept?
surety or
Surety.
cash.
So, I mean, so,
Should I include surety or cash in that?
It's already in the regulations.
Okay.
so are we gonna agree to these things tonight? And then we ought to make up our mind, they're gonna be
well, yeah,
surety or cash.
well, again, the regulations provide for surety or cash. I don't
Okay.
think we need to take any action on that. And I would suggest, what we should be looking at here is clarifying and clarity of language. We've already voted on these conditions, right?
If I may, Mr. Chairman, Harry Heller representing the applicant.
Good evening, Attorney Heller.
Good evening. Certainly, we don't object to the $12,000 per acre, but it's a performance bond for erosion and sediment control. And it's sort of ludicrous to be bonding areas where we're not authorized to work. You know, it's a 4-phase project, and there are performance standards in the approval and the application that we can't go into a next phase until we complete a prior phase. So there's really no erosion and sedimentation that can occur beyond the phase that you're operating in.
Thank you, Attorney
Was it
Heller.
around that berm they were building?
I'll just say this from a professional experience that I have with this, regardless of the acreage. If it's one address, I'm required to provide a surety bond, regardless if it's 4 phases or 20 for the entire site in my construction jobs.
You have to do it up front.
I have to do it up
Okay.
front. I'm not saying that's the way the town of Thompson should operate. I'm just giving my own personal experience in this category.
Yeah, and I'm almost sort of agnostic on that point of it. My point of view is that I think we want to make sure, I think Cindy's motivation for presenting this to the commission, and correct me if I'm speaking for you incorrectly, was to clarify what the commission had stated.
Because how many of us are gonna be here 7 years from now?
And
So when
s-
that
right.
CEO picks up that folder, well, I'm still gonna be here, but I mean.
Did you raise your
When that
hand?
CEO picks up that folder
Mm-hmm.
and says, what were the conditions? I want it written out exactly as you agreed.
And so the way I see it, regardless of if you think it was the right decision or the wrong decision that we made in June, we made the decision. And if it's clear, if we think the language is clear, then I think we leave that language. I don't think we're relitigating this application process. I don't think we are in a position to do so. So that's my, we could debate the merits of the bonding.
Mr. Chairman, I agree with you totally. But I think part of the problem was there are some things that Cindy picked up that were discussed among the commission in deliberations. But when we reviewed our notes on the actual motion that was put forth and voted on, we felt that these items were not clear, and that's why we raised them. I agree, whatever the vote was, we're not asking you to change that because you voted and that's done, and we didn't appeal.
Thank you. So again, Cindy, this language is what you pulled from the recording of the,
That's what I pulled from the recording, and if anybody wants to listen to that recording and try to pull from it, be my guest.
So what is the issue?
Yeah.
You're telling me, I'm hearing that they have a discrepancy or a different opinion or something, but I don't know what that opinion is.
their notes reflect that.
I don't see their notes.
So yeah, so this is Attorney Heller's memo saying that his notes do not reflect a condition of 1 year prior to commencement and do not reflect all upfront, but reflect a phased bonding.
Cindy heard it and Brian said he said it.
Yeah, I'm looking at my notes right now. It said bond is
Yeah,
12.
It's there.
he did say it, and we voted on it.
So that's done deal there.
And to re-vote on it, I don't think is correct.
So I would, it sounds like the commission believes that item 5 is clear and correct as written.
Yes.
In item 6, Attorney Heller's memo again suggests that, or posits that this was to be by phase.
O'Brien, you made the motion, right?
Yeah.
I agree with Attorney Heller's new quote. Fee payable upon commencement of excavation operations each phase of the project based upon a calculated earth project to be removed in that phase. I would only ask that we did talk about true up, that there be a comma added with an appropriate true up at the end of the calendar year.
Okay, so you want to add that after this with an appropriate true up after the end of the calendar
Only because I thought
year?
we talked about that at the meeting. Not because of it's a new item.
Okay,
know we talked about true up, but
I know we did, but I don't know if we agreed on anything.
I don't think the true-up can be done at the end of the calendar year, though. It has to be done at the end of the phase.
That's what I
Because
thought.
we're gonna pay for that phase in advance.
I just remember talking about true up.
Yes, I thought we went up to the end of the phase.
Fee payable upon commencement of excavation operation which each phase of the project based upon the calculated earth product to be removed in that phase,
Yep.
comma,
With appropriate true at the end of each phase now, instead of.
Yeah.
well, that's certainly more organized than what we did.
And that is
We'll get it, Cindy.
consistent with your notes, Attorney Heller?
Yes, it is.
Item 8, so the pre-blast survey notification, and that was, I'm chuckling because I remember we spent about 45 minutes talking about that language as well. So we have here Attorney Heller's language. The pre-blast survey shall be required prior to the commencement of any blasting on the project site. This shall include all structures within 500 feet of the blast location, including the properties that we specifically named as condition in the condition. In addition, the applicant shall provide oral or email notification to each notice party not less than 1 day prior to each scheduled blast event. The pre-blast survey shall include photographic documentation of the Ashton Briggs property and the Thompson Dam prior to the commencement of blasting operations.
Again, if I may,
The-
I feel like that's appropriate, just change Ashton Briggs to the property. address.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just put Ashton Briggs in parentheses, letting the person
Yeah,
who looks at this know that was the owner at that time.
yeah, sure.
So, yeah, so, those changes to 4, 6, and 8. 5 will leave as is, Cindy.
Okay. And 9 was fine, right?
There's nothing-
I don't have none.
Yeah, I don't
No,
know.
there's no 9 on
Yeah.
on
No
Attorney
9 on
Heller's.
the-
We didn't
No, there's
dispute
no
that,
9
so
on
there's no
ours.
9.
There's
There's a
9 on
9 here.
ours.
Yeah.
He was
Right,
only
he didn't-
commenting on these.
Right.
He didn't comment on
So
that.
we have a 9 on the,
So these are just what he was commenting on.
correct.
Everything else they agree.
Those were
with.
his discrepancies.
Okay.
I actually think that he did comment on that.
Yeah, I did comment on 9. And I just wanted to clarify that on each blast, the seismographs are at the southeast and west property lines of the property.
That's right.
And
So
just clean up the language a little bit. I don't think it's substantively different from what Cindy had.
So I'm sorry, you're saying southeast as a direction, not south and east as two separate
No,
directions?
south, east and west.
And
So
west.
the only property line we wouldn't be monitoring is the one adjacent to the existing Rawson property.
That's what it says, south,
Yeah.
south, east and west side of the property.
Yeah, it's got the parenthesis in between the south
Yeah,
and
south
east.
has a comma.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. So your memo got cut off, Attorney Heller. So we're having a little bit of confusion hearing what your comments for 9 were.
Okay, let me read it to you. What I suggest is that it say seismograph instruments are required during the duration of each blast and shall be installed, monitored, and recorded at the south, east, and west property lines of the application parcel to measure and record the earth's vibration as measured at such property line.
Right, that sounds good, but if you want to send it back to me, over to, I don't know how it got cut off of.
Well, the one point of clarification, when I read my notes, it wasn't about the blasting period, it was for the entire duration of the general operation.
That's the only time the seismograph would be recording anything, right? When they're blasting.
Not necessarily. They have large operation trucks throughout that operation process.
Now, that clearly was not the discussion.
No, I
I
remember you
disagree.
saying that, Brian.
I disagree.
I remember you saying that.
Yep. That's my point.
Because
Cindy
you
got
said
it
there were
too.
other vibrations and
Cindy
things
said- heard it.
Yeah,
concerned.
sure, it's large equipment. moving
Yeah,
rock.
yeah,
and
yeah, not just the
I
blasting,
think the
but the
state
other
of Connecticut, and
vibrations.
Army Corps of Engineers is very clear about what they
they
were
were.
Yeah.
requiring for the
Yep.
bridge, right?
Mhm.
And it wasn't just for a small period of time.
No,
I believe they wanted for the entire duration.
Yeah, that was the colonel there.
And again, in my personal experience with blasting and doing other construction, I have seismic monitoring on jobs that do not have any blasting.
My point was that the blasting is gonna register higher on any side reporting than any other operation they'd be doing there.
I can disagree with that.
Okay.
Mhm.
I don't pretend to be an expert on.
No,
No, but
So Mr. Rice, Mr.
I think
Rice.
that Brian's point is that the West Thompson Dam, the manager there was concerned if there is traffic going over the dam, anything that's happening to the dam itself. So it probably would be worthwhile to have that on the dam proper itself, to monitor any changes.
Okay, so
Probably ought to
it's,
put one in my house too, in case they crack the foundation.
We've
Thank
done
you,
that,
Randy.
we've done that before.
No,
it
but-
sounds like, so it sounds like, so. okay.
No, but I
Dennis,
agree
you're
with what Brian was saying, and I do remember him saying that. It is not just for the blasting. It was because of all the vehicles, heavy duty, everything.
Mhm.
And because of what they said from the Thompson Dam engineers.
So it sounds like, Cindy, the consensus of the commission is that the first line will say the same: seismograph instruments are required during the entire duration of the
Yeah.
operation and shall be installed, monitored, and recorded at the southeast and west side. I'm sorry, on the property lines to measure and record the Earth's vibration at such property
So
line.
you probably, so you want to put property line to measure and record the earth's vibration scale at such property line. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wasn't the Army Corps adamant about having some, measuring something on the dam?
That's what
And
I'm
how,
saying.
where the building, is, because the building
Well,
on
not the
Red
house.
Road is within 200 feet of the, of that.
But I don't
area.
think he was
Yes,
talking about
so
the house.
I
think
believe it's number 8 that covers that, the pre-blast survey. That's monitor all structures within 500 feet of the blasting area.
Mhm, that's right, yeah.
So there'll be monitoring points scattered about.
To be clear, the pre-blast survey is a in-depth structural analysis of the things you're analyzing before operations start. So it determines the condition prior to any activity on the property, both for the protection of the neighbors and for the protection of Rawson.
Mhm.
So that there can't be a claim afterwards that some condition was caused by blasting that existed before the operation started. So the pre-blast survey and the monitoring are two separate and distinct things.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree.
Yeah. Any further comments? Is it clear, Cindy?
I'm clear. I can write up the permit,
Thank you,
send
Cindy.
it to them.
Okay, thank you, Attorney Heller.
Okay, thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.
You as well.
Thank you.
Item 13, new business, proposed bylaw change to order of agenda items. If there's no objection, I think this is something we can discuss next month.
What was it I was talking?
The changing the order of business, changing the agenda items.
Yeah, I feel like we've been talking about that for 3 months and it hasn't happened yet.
Well, June it was brought up, July, my proposal came to the meeting.
Okay.
We can talk about it
No,
now if you
no,
want.
no, no, I am not being held accountable.
That's the outcome.
It did happen tonight with us making a change, but okay.
Okay, well, the last time we talked about the bylaws, there was a lengthy discussion about
Yeah,
the
don't
order.
do it on mic.
Yeah, I know, but the thing of it is.
Okay,
we
I said
we
if there was
wanted-
no objection, and there is clearly objection. So let's begin the discussion.
Last
Mr.
month,
Rice.
we said it had, according to our regulation, it has to be
Mhm,
previously
yeah.
reviewed at
Mhm.
last month's meeting. So we're here. So we'll just vote on it.
Okay,
Yeah.
great, Mr. Williams.
I have some, on number 4, I'd like to see what the opinion is, to discuss the public hearing and then split that and then put the citizens' comments and then do possible action after, so we can hear what the citizens have to say before we
So I would argue that they are able to speak in the public hearing about the application. And once the public hearing is closed, we can't take in any additional information. So any citizens' comments that might be applicable to that application could put us in danger of appeal or
Okay,
legal action.
all right.
So did I make a
That's the
motion?
only
to
one
I didn't hear a
accept?
motion. I didn't hear any motion.
You didn't hear it, but I said a motion to accept the order of business.
I'll second.
Mr. Rice has moved, Ms. Langlois has seconded a motion to approve the
Article 9, order of business, planning and zoning meetings.
Planning and Zoning Commission bylaws, Article 9, order of business, as amended on August 22nd, 2022. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, a yes will approve the new order of business, a no will maintain the current order of business. Mr. Black.
Yes, anything, any one of them works as far as I'm concerned.
Mr. Lanky.
John B. Linky, yes.
Dave Fofolsky, yes.
John Rice, yes.
Charlie Langlois, yes.
Ray Williams, yes.
Jane Salsa, yes.
Mike Krugel, yes.
Joseph Perotti Brown, yes. I worked hard on these and I tell you, Bill, how that.
You didn't take it.
Item 14, citizens' comments.
This is Valerie Clark.
Ms. Clark?
So there was discussion this evening about, well, how many citizens actually attend meetings, and that when we were talking about the subcommittee meeting versus having a special meeting and whether it should be Zoom or not. And I got the sense that because only 3 citizens might have attended, that there shouldn't be something special done to encourage citizens to participate and attend. And I was disappointed in that. I had recommended in the first citizens' comments that the rewrite of the regulations be advertised, and I did not hear anyone suggest that an ad be placed in the paper about these meetings happening. And throughout the night, all we have heard is comments from the citizens about that they did not know that XYZ was being done by the Planning and Zoning Commission, and that you need to improve your communication. Advertising in a paper is how to improve that communication. And then secondly, when I said that I asked the question about how would a citizen know that the regulations were being revised, reviewed in subcommittee meetings, the planner responded saying that I personally had gotten an email. Well, that wasn't my question. My question was how the citizens would know, and they really couldn't have. The subcommittee meeting was not even placed on the town calendar. You had to know that it was happening. You had to have been at every single meeting or read every single minute to figure out that that meeting happened last week. So please be more communicative. Really, there are many, many, many people in this town that care about what's going on in town. They just don't have a way to find out unless they're doing what I'm doing, which is spending 15 to 20 hours a week of my personal time trying to figure out what all of you are doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clark.
Here, here.
Thank you, Ms. Romanek. Hearing no others. Item 16, review of zoning board of appeals applications. There was no meeting. Item 17, commissioners' comments. Ms. Lang.
Do we not put this, I mean, maybe we need to put it on the record, every place that we put this, any type of meeting, because I remember feeling like when we were gonna start doing the zoning regs, I was kind of excited, thinking all these people would become, we would be inundated with things. And I remember putting it on in the shopper's guide, and I said, why put it in the shopper's guide? It's 17 pages. They're like, no, everybody reads the shopper's guide. So they put it in the shopper's guide. We put it on the bulletin board. if you get text messages and you join the website, it goes, you can get it to your phone. I get every single meeting to my phone, but I have a cell phone. If you don't have a cell phone, then you could sign up and you could get an email. I don't know. I mean, what did they do 60 years ago? How did you ever know there was a meeting? Did all this just get, everything happened and you showed up and it was done? I was asking Mr. Rice.
She was pointing at me 60 years ago. You read the bulletin board downtown.
So did they come to your house? Did they call you? Did you get mailings? I mean, we talked about mailings and mailboxes, no one uses them, or if people move, the town was wasting money, things were getting returned. I mean, obviously it's an issue. So must be stinking at it. So we need to know how we need to fix this because we email, text, phone call on the board, hanging on the board here. If they call, they can find out. So what are we missing? Tell me. I need to know.
Ms. Halsey and then Mr. Lincoln.
Resurrect the signs in the sections of town. That's how it was done. They posted the meetings throughout town. You knew if you were from Quinnebog, you knew where to look. If you were from East Thompson, you knew where to look. West Thompson, they were posted. And I mean, up until a few years ago, there was literally a remnant of one of those signs rotting on Route 131. But that's how they used to do it.
Who keeps that up?
Hey, I wouldn't mind volunteering once a month, if we take turns to do it, to put it out there, because it is important that we get this stuff out to the people. So if we took turns doing it.
These were Town of Thompson signs, Thompson.
They
Town of
were
Thompson
physical
stores.
signs, yes, and they were posted on these
I don't
signs.
remember 'em.
So that
Huh?
is
You don't
something that
remember?
the.
Well, John,
the
I
town-
probably hid them from you.
You probably
I
did.
hid them from you.
Mr. Linky, did you have a
Yes, we
comment?
have, everybody's complaining about we're not getting the information out there and everything. You were right. You're kind of right about, things.
Yes,
Shopper's Guide, I
Yeah.
remember back in the day,
Yeah.
Shopper's Guide,
No,
Thompson
I said
Villager.
Shopper's Guide.
I know, but I remember it back then,
Okay.
The Shopper's Guide, Thompson Village, or whatever it was back then. But we do have a new item in this town. And people drive by it every day. I don't care who you are. And it's the Charlene Langlois digital.
Digital
on the
board.
front.
And
And it's
obviously.
the they're gonna put your name on it. I'm gonna make sure, Charlene Lang, because you're the one that pushed it. So if it's out there and being advertised, which we
But
should.
then you have the lady over here that says she lives close to Massachusetts and doesn't even come in here.
That's not my
until
problem.
There's a problem. Well, that's what I'm saying.
No,
So I
yeah,
feel like.
So, yeah.
What
so-
we'll do is
if I may-
maybe have the
Those are the
town.
193 and west, east.
Yeah,
If
but
I-
the thing is that,
that's why the signs are in
If
the
I,
different
yeah,
sections
so
of town.
if I,
see that sign when you're driving by, you have to stop.
if I may,
which one?
don't make me use the gavel for the first time tonight. If I may, right, I.
You welcome for that gavel.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Amazon.
I think, right, there is 100% recognition that we want to do more. And we need to search how to do more. Mr. Rice is being patient.
Maybe somebody
So I'm-
could give us some
Right, what do they want?
clues as to what they want or how we're gonna do that.
Right.
Because to your point, the locations in each part of town, 100% sure is that you put one in East Thompson, past somewhere, I'm gonna say, well, I don't go down that road. I don't go
It
there.
will be
You know?
posted in each section of town, and then there will be announcements that this board is at this section. If you want to know what's going on, go to that sign. If you don't go to the sign,
So
it's
that would
not
be,
our
so that would
problem.
be, right, so that's a town, right, that's not this commission,
It's
that's
a town thing.
it's
And
a
I've
town.
asked Amy to do
So,
things too,
so
and it
that's
doesn't get done.
all meetings?
I'm sorry?
Inland wetland conservation, and,
Every meeting.
Sure.
every
Every
meeting will
one.
have to be posted.
It's
We're
a
gonna
piece,
post all the
it's a
zoning
fence,
regulations
Yeah,
on
I know
there.
it
it's a
is.
sign that
Yeah.
has glass on
Yeah,
it.
right, I
That
know.
has, you can stick thumbtacks in it, and you open it up and you tack it in there. You're gonna have to stop and read it. But that gives them, they can no longer say that it's not posted someplace. If we do that the way it was done, and tell people this is where it is. You want to know what meetings are? They can go look at it and read it. I remember reading them when I came into town. And that a piece of glass and a paper with a big font so that you can read it easily and not get a magnifying glass
Yeah,
out.
so we'll
Mr.
get a
Chairman,
big
if I
font
may.
on a big
Yeah.
board so that we can post 100 pages of zoning
No,
regs. on it.
no, not the regs, not that, just the
The
meetings.
Ms. Penn, Ms. Penn.
A few points here, and we have reiterated these on several occasions. We have certain legal obligations which we meet. We post them online on the boards. Public hearings have separate posting requirements, which we meet. We do have the sign, we have made requests to the selectman's office that more meeting information get posted up there. That has not happened as we would like. To Jane's point about central locations, I would suggest that if they can't read a digital lighted sign when they're driving by, they probably also can't read a sign. However, we have how many post offices, and that would be an area where I would suggest if
Good
a
idea.
volunteer from the commission would
Yeah.
like to take paper notices to post offices.
Couldn't we just take a
That would be
calendar,
fine.
like we have the month
Yeah, the
calendar,
month
just
calendar.
put it up there?
Well, the calendar can change, so if
There
you've got
is.
a Zoom meeting.
Right, and I think
There's
to-
28 boards and meetings, so to
Yeah.
your point, as
Oh,
building.
I get, no, I
having
get
And
it,
so I
John.
think-
28 pieces of paper.
We're
Yeah.
gonna have to
Charlene
put our
also
heads
brings
together
up
and
an
come up with a
important
solution
point.
to this. It's
Okay,
not
well, we don't
working.
need to do it.
One at
quarter
a,
past 10
one at a
night.
time, please. Go ahead.
Charlene also brings up an important point, which is that any resident of Thompson may subscribe to meeting updates because special meetings, subcommittee meetings, they are not a part of the regular calendar, but when they are uploaded, that is supposed to create an alert. Now, I am not subscribed to.
I
this one because
subscribe, I
set the
get them
meeting, so
all.
If Charlene's saying she gets them all, then that must be an effective tool.
Okay,
And I would.
So we have multiple tools to reach people in multiple ways. We use many of them. We could use more, and I would suggest that the post office.
Post office is a good idea. Yep.
And I would suggest, one of the, that it's not just that the meeting is, on, right? One of the concerns I think we're hearing is the material of so it's not just the calendar of the meetings.
It's a
what's
subject,
gonna
yeah,
be
it can be
discussed.
done, but I was thinking,
I understand, but they may not,
but
but they may not all have that ability
we,
necessarily. all the time.
not everybody has that
But
ability.
so, where were you gonna say, Jenny?
Shoot. Dang it, it left.
I got right.
Thank God.
Dang.
I'm just wondering, are the subcommittee meetings being put on the website?
Yes, they have to be.
Okay.
Oh,
And when they're on Zoom, the new standard is that it has to be not just 24 hours, it has to be 48.
Okay, I just wondered.
Yeah.
if-
okay, just, I haven't seen them, but, and I don't know if it's still done. Used to be selectmen's updates that went out and got mailed out to everybody in town.
Those come out twice a
Twice a
year,
year.
and they are
That's twice.
primarily digital, although
Okay.
we do have hard copies here. It's
Okay,
very expensive to do mailers of that level.
okay. Now, I like the idea of the post office, so maybe we can work on that for now until we figure something better out.
About you drive around in your car with the big speaker on it.
Any
You talk to the
other-
mic,
any
driving
other
around.
John,
commissioner?
I would love to do that. You know that.
Yes, Mr. Krogel.
I know it's been a long time and I am not one to listen to Winnie
I know.
overall, except for golden oldies. But, well, but didn't they used to have a community
Yes, they did.
billboard or whatever? and
Still do.
Where,
Still, no.
You have to call,
But if you don't
send it
listen, you're
in.
not gonna know it.
well, I
Well,
know.
it's-
They
it's-
don't know you.
It's another way of
avenue,
reaching
it's
out.
another
It's
avenue.
another-
They don't go
another
through it.
way.
It's a digital. You have to go on and.
Yeah, but
scroll
if
and
people
see
know
what-
it's there,
Yeah.
they can scroll it.
Yep.
Don't we have local access? TV?
No.
Is it-
I think we really do.
No.
I thought
there used
to be like a-
It was with the school.
We did
Local
that a couple
access.
times.
Ms. Dunn.
I would just like to make a comment about the volume of the Zoom.
Yes.
The only person I heard was Heller. I have no idea what Val said either time, and I don't know if anybody else spoke. But if you're going to continue to have these hybrid meetings, you really need to do something about the volume. So that, I'm interested in what they have to say, but if I can't hear them, they lost me. So.
Thank you,
3 minutes are
Cindy.
up.
I will bring in a hockey puck I will donate it to the town so you can hear it loud and clear.
What's a hockey puck?
Okay,
So
portable
Cindy-
speaker.
It's a
Oh.
portable speaker from laptops.
Thank you, Cindy. Anything else?
Do we still have the board that's up at the town dump?
Yes.
So why can't we post that there? too?
transfer
As soon as you
The
drive
trans-
in.
Ah, the transfer station.
Yes, we
I'm
can.
not politically correct. Never was.
Is it a
never will be.
politically correct thing? It's
Not
a-
politically
I don't
correct.
know if that's what
It's
that's
right
about,
there.
but.
As soon as you drive in on
So,
a
yeah,
building, it's right
that's
on the
a- that's a-
building.
Okay, so let's.
So
yep.
keep, as you think of, as you brainstorm ideas, feel free to share them
Oh,
along.
hey, I'm gonna go see my
Excellent.
friend down at the salvage yard. I'm gonna get that. speaker
Item
and stuff.
17, next meeting, the Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting at September 26, 2022, 7 PM, Marlson Community Room, Thompson Town Hall, 815 Drive, North Groverdale, Connecticut, 06255. We do have a special meeting scheduled for Thursday, September 8th at 7 PM
Yes.
via Zoom. Item 18, I will entertain a motion.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second. The meeting is adjourned at 10:19 PM.
Oh.
Thank you, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for those of you who are here.